that is your girl Sateo, the crypto queen.
Hello, and this is Sharif.
Okay, you have a mic issue? Are we good? What's happening?
Yes.
Hello?
Is it working?
You gotta go because my mic's
Okay,
not
sure.
working.
Yeah, so we are getting ready for the show. So we're just gonna shout some people out on the chat. So we got Darwin, we got Kalula, we got MB3, Yannick, Ronaldo, Full-Time Trader, Adam DeLuce, Ari Pages, Covalence, Why Not, Jules, Gorav, Ronaldo, Trader Rob, Andrew Chow, Raul, Rogelio Concepcion, Ruben, and all these people. Hello, hello. Shout out to you guys for tuning in today. We're so glad to have you guys here. And so thanks for coming. So today I wanted to cover, I talk about this a lot, but I wanted to go a little bit in more depth with it, and we're going to be talking about the volume weighted average price. Yes, keep spam in the chat. Shout out to you guys. We're working out some mic issues, but we're going to get it sorted. But right now, I wanted to get into the volume weighted average price, and so we will get into that. So if you could show my screen, if you don't mind. So today we will be covering how to use VWAP to discover upwards and downwards trends, how to use VWAP to determine a bias to go long or short, and understanding the magnetic effect of VWAP. And shout out to Obi, he really, brought that term into play. So what is VWAP? So VWAP is the abbreviation for volume weighted average price, which is a technical analysis tool that shows the ratio of an asset's price to its total traded volume. It provides traders and investors with a measure of the average price at which a stock is traded over a given period of time. So VWAP is commonly used as a benchmark by investors who want to be more passive in the market, usually pension funds or mutual funds, and traders who want to ascertain whether a stock was bought or sold at a good price. So I like to think of VWAP as like conducting traffic. So similar to the lines on the road or the highway, people can drive on a road without guided lines, but the lines on the road offer guidance and clear structure. So this is kind of like a chart without VWAP. It's kind of naked. You can see, some direction there, but I find that it's just much easier with VWAP. So this is an example, same type of chart. This was Tesla on the 3-minute, and it kind of shows us more direction. So this is an example of, so when we're looking at VWAP, a lot of the time it's good for identification of like an upwards trend or a downwards trend. So typically in this, we can see that once it breaks VWAP, we just get and stay above VWAP. And then once it does come to VWAP, it just bounces off of VWAP and continues the trend. And then as we can see, like on the next day here, once it breaks through VWAP, we can see that it just stays below VWAP. And even though it does approach VWAP again, it just stays above it. And then the trend really changes once you get above VWAP. So this is just another example, because you guys know I love my examples. So this is just another example of an upwards trend, and then also a downwards trend. And we could see it very clearly when you just use VWAP. No other indicators, just VWAP, and I feel like I have a clear visual and representation of where the trend is going, upward or downwards. So for me personally, this is kind of just my own strategy that I've kind of thrown in there in regards to VWAP. So I like to stick to a bias. So whenever a ticker is above VWAP, I am only looking for opportunities and key price levels to go long. And then whenever a ticker is below VWAP, I am only looking for opportunities and key price levels to go short. So I found that when I was first on the floor, a lot of the time I would flip a lot. And that would, I would waste a lot of capital because I was just getting bamboozled by short-term price action. And so I had to think about the bigger picture. And I found VWAP kind of kept me in check in terms of you're just looking for opportunities to go long. And even though sometimes I would miss a trade, it would give me more of an opportunity to see the next trade and maybe see where, a next opportunity or where I was wrong. So again, this prevents excessive flipping and staying aligned with the trend. So for VWAP, there is kind of some different anchor periods. So we have the session, week, the month, and the year. So typically, with VWAP session, I find that this is usually done with intraday traders or day traders. And so it's usually hugging VWAP VWAP is usually hugging like the closest bars. So whether the market is bullish or bearish, at some point in the day, price action finds its way to VWAP. So that's what I mean by the magnetic effect, at least on the VWAP session. Not necessarily for the weekly, the monthly, or the yearly, but on the session, it very closely hugs the price action happening on the day. So this is an example of VWAP session magnetic effect, meaning like I could, at some point, the price action touches VWAP. So this is clearly shown on the VWAP session. And then VWAP on the weekly, so whether the market is bullish or bearish, at some point in the day, price action finds its way to VWAP, but that's not necessarily for the weekly charts. So the monthly, weekly, and the yearly VWAP may be most helpful for swing traders and long-term investors. So VWAP on higher time frames are usually further away from current price action, but can give clues in regards to structure and change in trend structure on higher time frames, and gives clues to key support and resistance zones. So what I mean by that, so opposed to VWAP being closest to these kind of points on the candlestick, we can see that it's kind of further away when we look on the weekly time frame, and it's more like this is the market price as of right now, and then on the weekly VWAP, this is where it's sitting here, and we could obviously see that there is a big gap between the market price and the anchored VWAP on the weekly. And so this gives a better structure for swing traders and long-term investors rather than a day trader, because I find with day traders, I mean, you could use this at a point, but you may be waiting, whereas like with day trading, we're looking for opportunities that are happening in the moment, and I find that the VWAP session works a little bit better for that. And then this is an example of VWAP on the monthly time frame. And so we could also see that there is a gap from the market price here. And then that gives us kind of support and resistance zones that are kind of better for swing traders, just because it's a little bit further up. And then this is also an example of the VWAP on the yearly. And then we could also see, dip buy opportunities. $30 is kind of a big gap between the market price, but we can see that if we were looking for a dip buy opportunity, this would be a good kind of place to get in a bulk of your position. And then that is my lesson for the day.
I love it. VWAP is so important. I hope everybody can hear me well. Something to do with the wire and not actually the mic pack itself. So thanks to the best production team around this biz for fixing that, and including Ram. So shout out to her as well. Guys, I took a couple of trades while Sateo was dropping hot lines. First, I took a decent short on the monster Nvidia. We took 25 pennies, quick as you like. We did dip down into 80s, 20 pennies. So I covered quickly there because I'm feeling like there is a higher low manifesting right now on, guys, chart please. At 143 on NVDA. So yeah, I'm really happy with the fact that I got out of that. I tried to take it for a lower low through that 142.5. It was not incoming. However, we're still doing the dance with absolutely no pants at the 10 exponential moving average on the 5. And that's what I'm looking at now as we work our way back into that 143 and a third, 143 and a quarter area. I want to see if we take the 10 here, because Nvidia, in my humble opinion, weak today, and I'd like to weasel in something at best here at 144. I see an area trough in the morning right around 9:50 in the morning, right around 144 where it originally held up, worked its way back into the volume weighted average price, and then rejected again. So if we're not going to break decisively through that 143 and or reject off the 10 exponential on the 5, I'm very interested in this area over here. All right, we weasel down, we work a new high of the day right off the implied balance into 147, 16. We big boy drop into 143 and 2/3, but look where the closing prints are. At 144. So right now, look, you're getting the rejection off the 10, but what I want to see is we work into 144. I'm going to be looking to short 144 to 144 and a quarter, because that's where the volume weighted average price is. So price action resistance, in my opinion, at around 144. Ultimately, though, the volume-weighted average price may have that magnetic effect, as Satea and Obi like to say, right into that 144.25. If that's the case, I'll be looking to get in, half the position at 44 and then the other maybe half or whatever at the quarter. So that's what we're doing on NVDA. A bit of a down move today, but in my humble opinion, this is an accumulation area, likely for another move up. Just Google Wyckoff's accumulation distribution patterns and then have a look at what Nvidia is doing. Now, that's the first one. I'm in a current trade right now on this one. Oh, baby, we're 10 whole pennies in the money, Satea here. So, everybody calm down. So we're holding here at $7 on CRNC. You guys know I love my small cap gappers. Today will not be a different day. I still will be trading these small cap gappers since I'm involved, in this bad boy. Let's talk a little bit about it. So let me load it up over here. CRNC up a light 22%, 23 almost, but look at what it did yesterday. Let's put some dang respect on this one's name. From the breakout level to the high of today, we're up a light 150%. So not a big deal, but it's a continuation play, and it's also not an inside day because we're making new highs out of yesterday's little crest there that we weaseled up into at 640. Now, high of the day, 728. We've already wet our beak twice. So this one, good look. Anything below 7, gone. Okay, it's going to have to hold up the pattern that it's doing. I've got umpteen amount of other small cap gappers right now. Let's talk about those. Some are doing okay, some not so much. Omar, Omar looking real good right now. And quite frankly, I was about to get in over here, but I have a little bit of a rule of not trading before the show because I always seem to do dumb things before the show comes on. So I try to, hold off until we start. So this one dips into the volume-weighted average price. And as Obi was kind of alluding to before we started this stream, if the instrument that you're looking at is not respecting on whatever time frame you're looking at, the moving average, the volume-weighted average price, whatever technical indicator you're looking at, if there's not jiving with it, why would you want to use it? This is a case in point of why you would want to, because it comes right into that level, and to almost the penny, it holds up, and then it does a healthy move for a $9 name. Bounces off that, where was that? 890, where VWAP is, works its way all the way up into 9 2/3. So good look right now. I want something possibly off the 10 exponential. Otherwise, I'll have to look for something at VWAP for Omar. So it's a good look there. RCAT. Yes, another third day play for my friend Doja Cat on this one that Ramram seems to be very jealous of because apparently R should be for Ramin. But in any event, this one is doing real well. Multi-day play today, or multi-day play for RCAT. Broke out on the 20th, and every single day since that time, it's been a higher high, higher low type situation. So the trend is intact. Let's try to weasel into the trend over here. Now, what's the move? Well, look, it's respecting price action support as well as indicator support. What do I mean by that? Well, look at this area crest over here in both the pre-market and the institutional orders that came in at 8 a.m., this 840 level. Look at this double bottom on our cat, holding up right at 840. And then if you're more closing print inclined than wick inclined, well, then you got it off VWAP because the closing prints were right at the volume-weighted average price. So certainly RCAT in focus. And then this one, I'm supposed to be taking profits here, Satea.
Let's go. Let's go. We got to hit the bank. Oh, no, beak wetter.
Beak wetter, there you go.
Where
I don't know where Joseph has that. I got it over here, though.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
I got it.
Wet.
Oh, there we go.
I just want to know why he's eating the garbage. Yeah, he's eating the garbage. That's not good. That's not good, Satea. I'm sorry.
I don't even know what to say about that one.
But, last one here, I'm going to wax poetic, but this one, actually, I've got two more, Ram, not one more. DXYZ, I was talking to Satea off camera about this one. These bad boys hold SpaceX in their portfolio since you and I cannot buy SpaceX because we're not accredited investors and we need to be babysat by Big Brother, the government. Well, we can weasel into DXYZ. Now, I'm not, advocating as an investment, but I'm just saying, personally, I want to be invested in SpaceX. Oh, by the way, apparently the incoming administration may completely revamp the accredited investor nonsense so that, you and I and Joe Schmo could probably weasel into some of these previously accredited investor-only investment. So stay tuned for that. But in any event, from a trading perspective, I'm interested in at around 43 to 43 and a quarter. That's where VWAP is. I also happen to like, if VWAP doesn't hold up, I also happen to like 42 and a half for this area crest over here that we rejected off. So I'm definitely interested in weaseling something into this bad boy over here, DXYZ. And last but not least, REPL, Repel. Let's talk a little bit about this one because I've never seen this bad boy before. It is not a small cap gapper. It is a $1 billion market cap. They're a clinical stage biotech company engaged in development of novel class stuff that I can't say, immunotherapies. What is this? I want to try. Oncolotic? Obi, what is this? Oncolotic? Oncolytic. That's why we've got Obi here. Thank you, Obi. Oncolytic immunotherapies. That's what they're involved in. Here's the details technically. Eh? Oh, Oncolytic says breaking down bones, says the Obi. He is the one, Knob says. So $63 million or 63 million share float. Cancer cells, he says. He's correcting himself. Shout out to Obi. Not like I even could pronounce it, so I've got nothing to say there. Ram, screen please. REPL, short float of around 16.08% of a float on the float of conflicting data here. I got 63.6. Float over here by Trade Idea saying 43.83. In any event, it's a larger short float, 16%. So this is bull flagging and respectful of the volume weighted average price. So I'm really interested in weaseling into this one as well, and it could become a little parabolic here as we can see. It's time for me to take more profits on my friend CRNC. About 20 pennies in the money here, Satea. Ooh,
let's
more
go.
Oh, yeah.
Another beak wetter?
Yes.
Let's go. We gotta hit it. Yes.
So that's what we're looking to do right now. Weasel into some of these small cap gappers. Hopefully we'll do well. We'll see. What are you looking at?
Awesome. Yeah, so I was looking at some things on the trending ticker list. So something that was first was Reddit. And so I like this because it's coming into my play here. I like the fact that it's looking like it wants to break this day's low. And so I don't necessarily want to get in at this market price, but I did set my order here at 143.19 and 143.15. So hopefully, we get filled on the downside if it does break. I am a little bit nervous about this 50s, but I think that I put my order low enough where it does give me more confirmation that this is, a downwards trend. And so I like that. And then I'm going to put on my 9 EMA. And this, I like the fact that it's trailing this 9 EMA. It still hasn't broke this 144.77 mark. And so, hopefully we do get filled on that downside. And even if it goes up from this point, at least I didn't get filled. And so I won't incur any drawdown there. But I do want to see that break there. And then another thing that was on my trending ticker list as well was Walmart. And so, wow, this is moving up. This is crazy. And so what I really like about this is the fact that it stayed above VWAP, which I was talking about in my lesson a lot. And so if I turn on my 9 EMA, because I definitely missed the move, it's definitely moved without me there. But I do want to see a little bit of a dip buy. So if I go on a higher time frame on the 30-minute, I'm seeing dip buy opportunities here around 89.80 and then also around 89.58. So I think that I'm definitely going to put some alerts over there, and hopefully we get a dip buy at those prices, because I don't necessarily want to get in here. I feel like, I missed the move. I have to really, be okay with that. And so I'm just going to move on to the next trade. Something else I was looking at was Target as well. This was on my radar just because we had earnings 2 days ago, and so I think that this could still be in play. I'm thinking of a dip buy possibly at this VWAP level, just because I like the fact that, it bounced off VWAP. It did make up top here, 125.67, but it's still looking strong. And so I want to see what we do here around 124.24, and then hopefully we do get a bounce off of VWAP and then a continuation of the trend there. How about you, Sharif?
We've got our first halter, but we'll talk more about that once we get back from Madeira.
Take a look at the largest movers here in the S&P 500 right now today, to the upside and to the downside. But before we do that, make sure that you take a second to vote We actually have a poll in the chat with some of the top 4 tickers on watch today, so make sure you vote for your ticker of choice. The top 5 tickers from this poll, and then another poll that comes at 12:30 will be chosen here for the rundown, and you'll get to see Opie and Neil review these tickers as Sharif gives you the news details. So definitely check that out in our chat. Make sure you subscribe to be a member of said chat. I always like to have a theme for this segment, so right now we're going to look at some of the largest movers to the upside and the downside in the SPY that have analyst notes today. So starting off here with BBY, this one actually getting a slight price target increase today from JP Morgan to $117 ahead of its earnings report next week. Then we have Palo Alto Networks, PANW. This one getting downgraded here by HSBC as day 2 earnings. Palo Alto did report yesterday, they reported on Wednesday night. Day 1 was yesterday. Then we also had a price target decrease at $291. For context here, Palo Alto is trading around $400 right now, so that's quite the price target decrease. Down about 5% though with that HSBC note. Then we have ABBV. This one actually at day's highs here up about 4% with an upgrade here to outperform from LeadRank and a $206 price target, guys.
20 people upgrade Palo Alto to 425, 435 yesterday. One downgrades it today. And it's like, I hate that stock so much. But again, I try to tell myself, zoom out, don't zoom in.
Okay.
Like mentally. So look at the bigger picture. Don't look at the intraday moves because it's so high beta. Fair. Right? So every day you're having to deal with this if you're looking at your account every day. Like we have to because.
Did you have it in your account at some point?
I have it.
Oh, you have it right now?
It's the second largest position after the dead one. After Apple.
Your love-hate relationship with Apple.
Well, I mean, the world, everybody hates each other right now. So everybody's trying to hack into each other, so it's like, this is a no-brainer for me. You got to be in cybersecurity.
For sure.
So yeah, I was just going to mention, guys, QMCO, halted. Lovely stock over here, man. You love a pattern like this. Look, it's more respectful, in my opinion, of price action support than any of these moving averages, at least, or VWAP on the 5-minute. So I'm gonna try to steer away from using any moving averages or VWAP in general. I'm gonna look for where price action support and resistance are. Now, because this is halting, we can use the halt levels as areas of at least intraday price action support and resist. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where are the halt levels so far? Well, we've got two up halts and one down halt. The first up halt over here in and around 650, the down halt at around 610 or so, and then the second up halt we're at 8.25. We're still involved in this one now. Now I should tell you, both halts so far, like the ones that we've been out of, here we go, now we're open, have been 10 minutes. This is the first one that's 5 minutes. So where are we gonna find support? We dip into 8 and boom, right into 8.75. This is very volatile. Be careful with this one. Make sure you are sizing in accordingly and you're using stops. And for goodness sake, please make sure your stops trigger by having a reasonable spread between the trigger and the limit. Otherwise, you're going to have to use market stops because this one could just blow through your stop. It's eating away all the levels quick as you like. So here we go. Coming back into that high of day. I'm talking about QMCO 877 right now. HOD hanging out at the highs. What's going on, Ram? What's going on, Ram? I don't know what you're saying. I got it. Okay. Is it right now? Okay, 40 seconds. This thing is breaking into highs. I got to load this up on our trading screen now. QMCO through 9, high day 912, zigging and zagging right now with that 9 QMCO. Is it on the NASDAQ? Yes, it is. Let's load this bad boy up. It's going to have to calm down, man. I don't like trading these halting stocks and awfully spready right now. Look at this. Look at the way the tape is moving, bro. Jeez. Okay, so $8 could be an interesting level here because we chopped and churned at 8. Yeah, I'm not going to trade this while it's doing this kind of thing with any discernible size. So I'm going to have to wait over here, see exactly what we get. The halt level that we were at last time, 826. So keep that in mind. You could get support at 826. You already got support at 8, right? Because it dipped into 8. It spent all of a quarter of a second there, and then it printed that 938 high a day. So keep an eye on this one, up 116%. That's a lot of percentage points right there. I just got to load up my my ad read, so I'll send it to you for a hot second here, please.
For sure. So right now I am looking at Nvidia, and you guys know I love my Nvidia, and shout out to the chat because they brought my attention to it. And so it was breaking through that day's low, which is a play that I totally love. And so, but we're going to Sharif.
All right, Ram. Donald John Trump, during his first presidency, emphasized that a strong America must not depend on foreign adversaries for critical minerals essential to our nation's economic and military strength in the 21st century. Aligning with this vision, military metals is emerging as a global powerhouse in the antimony space, crucial for defense and military applications. With past producing assets in the US, Canada, and Europe, military metals is poised to secure these vital resources domestically. So do not wait long. This story is heating up fast. Shout out to the people over at Military Metals. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no worries. We have to do those ad reads and pay those bills. But yeah, I was going into Nvidia right now. So I got in here at 142.08. I got in at the break here. And so I'm thinking that I'm not necessarily wrong in this trade until around 143.73 or this top here, 143.89, if I want to give it a little bit more room here. And I am waiting for this break because yesterday I was trading this and it made like a huge rally upwards. And so it wanted to get to that 150, didn't necessarily get there yesterday, but that from VWAP, that was a really nice trade for me. And I thought that, we might lose some steam just because we never reached that 150 mark yet. And I find that, when it doesn't really surpass that psychological level, then the next day I like to see, maybe it might be a short play, but obviously that's not always what I'm looking at. I'm more so looking at relative to VWAP, and that's how I kind of discern my bias. But we're going to Adara.
Just be wary, keep an eye on TSLA. We have Elon Musk here saying via a Twitter or X post that the Department of Government Efficiency, which, as you know, he is co-chairing with Vivek Ramaswamy, according to incoming president there, Donald Trump. Anyways, Elon Musk saying that the Doge, as it's being called here, will improve the efficiency of defense spending. So keep an eye on TSLA, which is trying to get a bit of a pop here. Also, maybe keep an eye on some of these defense-related names. So the TSLA on watch here with potentially a Doge-related catalyst coming from CEO Elon Musk, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. You were finished your thought?
Yes, yeah. And so I'm just looking at the Nvidia trade here, waiting for that to break down, and it seems like it's working as of right now. Not too much buying pressure happening, but I think that this is going to be a little bit of a slow burner. So, I might have to hold this longer than I usually do, but I think that it's making the move that I want it to do, and I just have to be patient with this one. And then someone in the chat is saying SPY. And so this one's interesting to me as well. I like the fact that it had this bounce here at 10.27 and then again at 11.20. And so it bounced off this 593 mark and then as well as this 593.74. And it looks like it's working its way up to break VWAP here. And so I do want to see a little bit more volume just because we still are kind of in this range from 593.12 to this top around 596.15. And so, I don't typically like range plays. I'm not really a range trader, but I am looking for the break of either direction or at VWAP to see, if there is a little bit more volume there. But it looks like, we're breaking down a little bit, but I do want to see how it plays out, over the next 15 or 30 minutes and see what we do from there. And then Tesla was very interesting as well. It was, going crazy in the morning. And so it seems like we created a little bit of a local top here at 356.80, 356.53. And so we're going to the downside. And so if I were, to anticipate something happening, I'm thinking that we may get, a touch of VWAP or maybe even this local high from the morning around 10.05, possibly, a retracement there, 345.07. And then those are kind of the two levels that I'm looking at. How about you, Sharif?
I'm still involved in CRNC. It worked its way into 45s. I didn't get the print. Now it's down into 27s. I'm looking for it to hold up at 20. Even though I'm long sixes, it's got to hold up 20 because that's the price action area resistance on the way up. So we weaseled into there. We rejected. We dropped back down to 7. So if it doesn't hold 720, gone. It's that simple. Now, this trade, Nvidia, I'm looking for it to defend here, 142. I think I'm going to get stopped out. I already wet my beak a couple of times, so we're holding half the position, so we'll get stopped out there for half. All right, so bad trade there on Nvidia. I had the right idea initially trying to short into this one, but it did curl up, and I didn't want a dollar cost average into the 10 exponential. That was a mistake on me. I should have been covering there, or should have been adding into the 10 exponential. So we'll look to do it a little bit better. Now, I know you guys are talking about QMCO, and this is all the rave right now. Where's it at? There it is. All right, so this is all the rave. So now how do we work in here? Now we've got a couple of topping tails right now on the 5. These two candles both come into that general area of high 930s right there on QMCO. We're not coming into either the 10 VWAP. We're extended away from everything. So we've already held up a couple of times at the $8 area. I'm talking about this candle 1120 and this candle 1125. So I don't know if third time's a charm here off $8, even if it makes it down into this candle or the subsequent candle. I don't know if I want to be catching it there at $8. So what I'd rather wait for is this general area, 750, where VWAP and the 10 is at. It's also 25 pennies just ahead of this area crest rejection over here at this topping tail candle. So I don't know exactly how to play this. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to punch in at these highs because this candle is just not to my liking right now. What does the 15 look like on QMCO? Yeah, it's very similar. Both two topping tail candles, whether you're looking at the 5 or you're looking at the 15 on QMCO. So look, it's not giving up the ghost either, but yeah, it's a bit risque for me at the moment. What else we got over here? RCAT just broke the high of the day, so this one continues to go. Beautiful hold up there at the volume weighted average price double bottom into that 850, 860 area. So RCAT printing 925s HOD. Yeah, what are we going to work into? What are we going to work into right now? How's my friend Nvidia? It's continuing to bleed there, 140, 175. Okay, the Mag 7, not to my jam today. Wow, Google continues to bleed, eh? Yeah, Google. Now this is going to be interesting here. I'm sorry to kind of jump over from stock to stock, but this 164 area is going to be interesting on Google. So we had a double bottom at 164 yesterday on Google, and we're not that far away from it right now. 164.47 is where we're at. And there has been really no bid on Google all day, essentially. So what I'd like to possibly do is scalp it maybe here at 164. I'm not going to be like trying to hold it long for a move up, but it's going to be a scalp play. So 164 is going to be of interest to me on Google. We're going to go ahead and put an alert. I'm going to put it at like let's say 10s or something, so I can be made aware a little ahead of time. So Google 164, I'm looking to buy. That's my play on the Mag 7. What else? Tesla possibly curling down here. Maybe to test 345, maybe 350 at best. 345 for this area consolidation top. Like we zigged and zagged there from 930 till we broke out the top there at 1035. So a possible rounded top being kind of catalyzed by this topping tail candle 1110. And you're seeing lower lows and lower highs and this kind of rounding effect at the top. So Tesla possible. Maybe if 350 holds, then you bounce off there. But if it doesn't, I'd be looking for something around 345 on TSLA. That's all I'm really looking at right now. But I got to remind you guys, we got a brand new way to vote. And we already have 1,000 votes, 900 votes. We've been 35 minutes deep. That's fantastic. Tesla's taking the cake right now. I'm kind of not surprised there, given that this big move. It's got 57% goggles with 150 billion market cap wipe yesterday. Second there with 14 and MicroStrategies with 20% lagging behind. I thought you guys would be more interested in Reddit. Given that it's making big boy down moves and maybe giving you an opportunity to get in. I know a lot of people were feeling all sorts of, what is that when you're after the fact? Not FOMO, but ROMO? Yeah, that's what Joseph calls it. He calls it ROMO. You guys feeling ROMO for not having gotten in. I know, Tony Romo. Shout out to Tony Romo. He's a good broadcaster. Not much of a quarterback, but he's a good broadcaster.
Interesting.
What are you looking at there?
Never heard of that one. Yeah, I'm really sad about getting out of this SMCI trade, to be honest. Paper hands to the limit with this one, to be honest. Let's go back to my chart. So I should have stayed in this longer. I don't know why I didn't. I got in around 32.33, and then I got out around 32.25, and so I should have just let this play out play out. I feel like I didn't because usually I don't enter two positions at the same time. I was in SMCI and Nvidia, and I find it's hard for me to kind of manage them, both of them at the same time, and so I kind of got out prematurely. But this was the break that I was looking for, you know, below VWAP, trailing the 9 EMA, and then the break of this level around 32.23, and then it is going to the downside. And I'm pretty convicted in this trade, so I think that I'm going to, despite me having paper hands, I want to see it get a little bit lower, so maybe 31.99. I'll get in, and if it can cross there, hopefully we do get filled there. But I just want to see that if it can go a little bit lower. I'm a little bit sad about getting out prematurely, but you know what? If the setup is still there, then there's no qualms in getting back in, and so I think that I'm definitely going to do that. And then so someone else is saying coin is dipping, and so yeah, I can see that we're approaching that $300 mark. We're at $300.50. And so yeah, it's coming out hot. It did bounce off of this VWAP level a little bit, not necessarily like right at it, but a little bit above 298.52 is where it bounced. And it seems like despite this bounce here, it's still going to the downside here. And so this looks pretty interesting as well. I do want to see a cross of this level, 297.09, and hopefully we can see a further dip from here. A level that I am going to watch, though, for a potential bounce is this level, this local high around 299.50. Or 299.88 rather. And so if it can hold above this price, I might be a little bit cautious to initiate that short. But if I do see that cross and then a cross of that 297.07, then I'll definitely be interested in this short here. And then someone is saying, damn Tesla. What is Tesla doing here? Oh, yeah, Tesla, you're flying, girl. She is not stopping. We had that retest of the 9 EMA, and then it's coming up to the upside as well, trying to reclaim those highs here around, what is it? 356.61, so it looks like it's coming in strong. I do like the fact that it had this base here around 351.57. I do like the fact that it's a little bit above that psychological level of 350. It didn't break 350 and we're above it, so this seems like it's pretty strong as well to the upside. I don't necessarily like those highs usually, but it does seem like it's curling there. And then we're going to Adara. She has news.
We're going to take a look here at some of these day one earnings moves, as we usually do every day around 11:40. As always, as well, make sure that you vote for the ticker of your choice in the poll. There are 4 options. This poll will close at 12:30, at which point another poll will open with 4 more stocks for you to choose from. You actually can vote in both polls, and the top 5 results cumulatively from these polls will be looked at by Neil and Opie at 2 p.m. So make sure you put those votes in there. In the meantime, we're going to take a look at INTU, which is trying to make a bit of a base here, pushing above this previous resistance level of 649, just shy of 650. INTU beat earnings per share and sales estimates last night with their earnings report. The guidance was a bit of an issue. They did say some of their sales are actually going to be delayed, so that led to a bit of an issue with guidance. For Q2 2025, they're guiding adjusted earnings between $2.55 and $2.61 per share, well below the estimate of $3.25 per share. Revenue here, they're guiding $3.812 to $3.845 billion in quarterly revenue versus $3.88 billion expected. So that is going to be a miss across the board. For their fiscal 2025, so for the whole year EPS and revenue estimates, the lower end of both actually did miss estimates, but the higher end of both exceeded. So kind of midpoint guidance for the fiscal year. And really quickly as well for INTU, it's worth noting on Tuesday, they had a bit of a drop when the Washington Post reported that the Department of Government Efficiency, which is that department that has been proposed here by President-elect Donald Trump, set to be run by Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. Apparently, that department is actually looking to develop a mobile app for federal income tax filing. This was addressed by Intuit's CEO during their earnings call. They said they're looking forward to working with Doge. So interesting note there from that call. Let's take a look at GAP as well. GAP no longer trading as GPS. They did beat here for earnings per share and sales estimates, and they raised their guidance almost across the board here for fiscal 2024. What they didn't raise, they had maintained, except for their effective tax rate. That guidance was slightly lower, but they're now seeing 1.5 to 2% year-over-year increase here for sales. Also expecting growth for their margins and their income margins. Let's take a look here as well at earnings on watch for next week. Nothing tonight, but on Monday morning we're going to get Bath and Body Works. So BBWI on watch. Then Monday evening, we're going to get Zoom Communications, ZM. We're expecting earnings of $1.32 per share and revenue of $1.16 per share. Zoom is not the only tech name on watch, though, for earnings next week. Dell, Autodesk, and CrowdStrike reporting later in the week as well, guys.
Much for that, Adara. All right, I'm just gonna set up a couple of beak wetters, so I just send it to you first.
For sure. So yeah, I'm looking at SMCI right now, and I was a little bit afraid, but I did put my stop loss here at 31.43, and so I did say I was going to give it a little bit more room, but I think that, you know, the 32.43, sorry, is, you know, a reasonable place to put my stop loss here because of the 9 EMA that's kind of giving me some confirmation that it's staying down here. So that is looking really good. I'm going to let that play out here. Nvidia is also something that I'm looking at as well. This one is looking like it's trying to bounce here around 141.72, and so we'll see what we do from here, but we're still in this downwards trend. And then someone shouted out Palantir in the chat, and we can't ignore this because look at this, making highs today. The high of day, it's at 63.96, and so this is really, really strong right now. I want to see how it reacts at this 64 level, and so I'm going to kind of weasel my way over here and then see what's happening on the tape to see what's going on here. Are we really seeing, you know, the push above that 63.98, or are we kind of seeing rejection here? And so it seems like, you know, it's not breaking too much yet. We're at 90s. I'm not seeing too much action yet, but, you know, we just have to let it play out and let some time happen. And so I think that, but I am waiting for that 64 break, and so I do want to get in there rather than at market price, just because I like that volume, and if we can see that break, then I think that I do want to get involved here. So Palantir looking strong, looking great. Someone's saying, what's the vibe on Microsoft? Let's take a look at my girl, Microsoft.
Hey.
What is she doing here? I mean, it looks like a little bit of a downtrend here, to be honest, from the morning here. We have a top at 415.63s, and then we haven't really broken out of that. We're kind of just downwards trending. It is fighting a little bit with this VWAP level and this 411.66, and so it seems like this base, they're really trying to bid it up here from this price. But I think that this is also kind of a significant level that we should look at as well, how it's reacting at VWAP. As long as we could hold there, I'm still thinking short. But if we do, you know, break VWAP and hold below here and stay at this price, I think that this is a price, a potential bounce price that we should be looking at, this 411.60 mark. And then what else are you guys looking at? MSTR is gone. Let's take a look. They're putting the rocket ship. So let's see here. Yeah, I don't typically like this action, but we can't deny that this is an upwards trend, and it's doing it in kind of like a zigzag kind of action, but it is to the upside. And so I really like the fact that it's holding above VWAP, and it's just making higher highs every time it goes up on the 3-minute. If we look here on the 15-minute, this is, you know, very clear here. It's just closing green, and it's just going to the upside. And then a point that I'm looking at is 431.98, call it 432, and then seeing, you know, if we can break above that level. But this is looking really strong and really great. How about you, Sheree?
The Nvidia continues to bleed, but I'm keeping my eye on that one. But here we go. CRNC's back into my level. I'm gone. That's it. We're going to take out the last little piece there, break even on the remaining amount. Look, this one has got a great level at 675, but first and foremost, let's see what it does with 7. Look at that, excellent out, because it goes right into 7, as I said. So let's see what it does now with $7. Does it hold up at 7? 7's also the 20 exponential moving average on the 5, and this would be the first day today that CRNC, first time today, CRNC weasels its way down into the 20. Why is the 20 of relevance here? Well, when something is trending very well or very strongly like it's doing today, CRNC that is, and it doesn't have deep retracements, it just has these shallow magnetic touches off the 10. When it does retrace and retrace a bit more deeply, it does sometimes hold up at the 20. That's not a hard and fast rule. You're going to have to watch to see whether or not the 20 features or not, but you got to have it up there in order to know. So right now the 20 and the whole dollar level 7 conflating, so we'll see if there is a hold up here. Now we know at least if we work our way back into highs, we've got 45 pennies or wherever we get in, say 707, 710, whatever it is, the first 5-minute candle will make a new high, which is how would I would get in for this particular stock on the hold up at 7. We've got a decent amount to take out the high of the day, and then if you're even more bullish than that and you theorize that we break the high, well then, you know, it's a good idea to keep your eye on this 7 area. And I wouldn't be first because, you know, 7 may or may not feature as a real level of resistance. Right now it is, but that doesn't mean that it's going to continue to be. Bro, how many different like messages am I going to get today? All right, we're going on do not disturb mode. So keep an eye out on this one. CRNC, no question, is very interesting to me right now. QUMO just dipped into VWAP. So let's talk about the trade I had on this one. Scalped a bunch on this. We added initially a small position at 889. I took some out right there quickly at 9. This dipped into 860. I had a resting order at 860, and I'm going to get in here. So let's go ahead because this is VWAP, and I'm going to give this one the old community college try. I'm going to have to give this one some room because, you know, these ones may or may not respect VWAP in a strict sense. So I'm going to give it a little bit below the where is that? 771 is where VWAP is. Let's go ahead and put it at 749. And then, well, yeah, well, that's a little bit close, but whatever. Who cares? But we'll give that one a try, see if this one wants to hold up at the volume-weighted average price and work its way back above 8. So I'm using small share size over here in order to kind of account for the volatility and the crazy risk that you could get with QMCO. So let's see if this one can work its way above 8. Again, otherwise, I'm going to have to wait for a different setup on QMCO, but it's very volatile at the moment. Boom, here comes 8. And there goes 8. Boom, nice. Okay, let's set up some more orders. We're going to wait at different levels. Let's go at the third of $1 right there. So we'll see if this one wants to hold up 8 and see who wants to curl back up. We'll scalp on this bad boy over here on QMCO. But there's a bit of a tug of war happening right now at $8 between buyers and sellers. Unsurprised by that. Obviously, a whole dollar is an area typically of psychological support and resistance. So we'll see what that one does. Now, moving back here to CRNC. So it does look like it's holding up at 7. So I wasn't alive to that. I should have been more ready with an order there for 712 or so. That's the first. That's the high above the previous 5-minute candle. I don't want to chase this, quite frankly. That was a mistake by me. Dang it. I should have had something there on CRNC. Now it's kind of running away a little bit, but we'll keep tabs on that one. Back to QMCO, still zigging and zagging south of 8. Happy I placed my stop where it is. Let's see if this one, the bottom drops off or not. It is very volatile at the moment, but it's not really giving up the ghost at VWAP. That could happen anytime, though, Satea. So I'm going to have to keep my eye on this one. What are you looking at?
For sure. So right now, I'm actually just putting in an alert for target. I do want to see a little bit of a break here around 123.86. I put alert around 123.90. It is looking a little bit weak in that it's struggling, you know, with this top around 125.67. And so, you know, it could very well bounce at this VWAP price. But I think that if I do see a cross of that VWAP again, then I'm looking short here. So I'm looking at that. And then some people in the chat are saying SoFi, and I cannot deny SoFi that you are looking good and scrumptious. And see, look, what I'm looking at here, and I think that this is very distinct, is the fact that we got here around 1550, which is one, a psychological price, and also a local high in the morning. We rejected off of 1573, 1574s. We got back to that local high, 1550, and then we're rejecting off of that. And I think that that's clear to me that this is a support level here. And so I'm liking that for the long as well. This is looking really strong. This is on the 1 minute. If we look on the 15-minute here, we can see that clear bounce as well. And so that looks really good. And so, yeah, I think that we could definitely reach our way up to that 1574, that day's high there. And so that is definitely in play. And then someone's saying Google long. Let's take a look at Google. Google, me personally, I don't see a long in this. I'm not really a person to time the bottom as of yet. I'm not really seeing that confirmation here. Maybe some confirmation that I may see is around 163.83. I want to see a possible bounce there, or a possible a bounce above VWAP around 165.50. And so I'm looking at that. I mean, there is looking like there is a little bit of a resistance here on 164.35. I can't deny that at all. I could see, you know, what you're seeing in that, but it's more so like the volume. I really want to see the volume coming in, and that's just hasn't come in yet. I mean, it might just be too early, you know, and so I want to see maybe in the next 9 minutes when 12 p.m. hits on the 4-hour, maybe what we do from there. If we look on the 4-hour, you know, we're still closing, you know, red. I don't like to enter a position while it's kind of like on a downwards trend. I'd rather, you know, the next candle form on the 4-hour and then see, you know, if we can get a higher entry price from there on, you know, with a green ascending candle. And so that is looking Pretty interesting. I would keep my eye out on that though as well. I think I'm going to put an alert here for Google as well at 165. So I think that is, I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. And then someone is saying lunar. And yeah, this is in play as well. This is looking like it wants to break above the day's high. It's currently at 1534. Really like the fact that we rejected off of those highs, kind of made this base here. And I'm looking at specifically like this wick here. And then this wick happened, and then the next candle that closed is green, and then we're just seeing ascending green candles. So this is looking like it's very much in play as well. How about you, Sharif?
I'm looking at GameStop for everybody here. People saying it's breaking out. This is not the chart I want to use. Let's bring in the trusty side chart with all my indicators ready to go on it. GUMA. Let's see what GUMA is up to on the day. GME, GameStop. All right. Nice breakout there. Okay, ForexAU, I see you, sir. He's talking about this one broke out, and your point is very well taken there. 28.15 seemed to be a bit of a top. I know the prints initially went to 20, but look where all the closing prints are. They're around that 15 area. So you get the big boy break on big boy volume. That 5-minute candle had about 200,000 shares. We weasel on up into 28.46. We're still below yesterday's high as well as the previous day's high. Now, I was waxing poetic to use an Adair term about how this one was putting in higher lows. This stock is trending. Something's cooking on this one. I don't know what it is. I don't know who's buying and what someone's doing, but we know that this stock usually has something brewing behind the scenes there because every day we seem to have a bit of a higher low, not necessarily big boy higher highs. Now, we know the closing prints all very close to one another at 28 and 2/3, 28 and a half, 28 and a quarter. They're all very close. However, each and every closing print seems to be, decidedly higher than its predecessor. So I think someone's doing something with this stock. We're not above, key technical levels yet. I would say that probably has to take us above 30 to account for that mid-July crest there that actually double topped at 30. And we're obviously having issues with that level still because we're not clear above that $30 level. But GameStop, and look, it's not V-shaped retracing. Like, look what we did in July. This one shot up into 30 and then quickly gave it back. We're not doing that this time. Every day, it's incrementally higher a little bit than the previous day, breaks out a little bit, puts a bit of a higher low. So something's brewing here on GameStop. So keep your eye out on that if you're interested for the next little while. Now, QMCO, VWAP added. Let's see, can we break above 8? Here comes 8 again. Now we're having trouble with 8, but this one I'm looking for it to curl. It put in a couple of candles at the volume weighted average price. None of them decidedly broke south of that, so that got me interested. QMCO, the monster, it's up 96%. Just looking at not getting my face ripped off by this one. Hopefully I've calculated right here, but we're gonna have to break and take 8 for me to get comfortable. But until then, we got the human algo at the big desk. What do you got for us, Adair?
Palantir's on watch here, and it's up almost 5% here at day's highs, getting a bit of a volume increase too, picking back up in volume as we go through the day. Around 10 minutes ago, less than 10 minutes ago, we had Vladimir Putin of Russia saying that Russia's basically working on this new weapon in regards to missiles, and they're going to put this missile into service. They've already tested it, and the Russian missile commander has actually said this missile can hit targets throughout Europe. So basically, PLTR looks like it's moving up on a defense play as we have more war news. It's also worth noting I'm not seeing the same move in a lot of these other defensive stocks. Pretty stagnant for LMT and RTX, but PLTR doing nicely here. No individual catalyst could be this war-related play, guys.
EJ Fitness. You just got your question answered by Adair. He's like, what's going on with Palantir? You just got your response, my man. Anytime there's belligerencies, Palantir seems to, print up a storm, obviously for obvious reasons, given that they're involved in that with the Defense Department and such. What are you looking at there?
For sure. So I'm looking at Gap as of right now. It's super random for me, but what I liked about it, it was on the trending ticker list, and I find that the trending ticker list on Yahoo Finance gives me a lot of tickers that are in play and has the volume that I'm looking for. And so the play that I'm looking at here is 24.21, 24.22. That's my fill price on Gap. And so I'm looking to go long here. and hopefully we do get filled. I do like the fact that it made this bottom here, 23.80. It kind of bounced twice on the 3-minute, and so I really like that. Came up to the 9 EMA, rejected, and then made that support here, and then we're going to the upside. And I think reasonably that I can get filled there. I did put it a little bit higher than VWAP just because I do want extra, you know, it's a couple cents, but it just gives me the reassurance that I need for more confirmation here, because I don't want it to just go above VWAP a couple of pennies and then just bang down. And so, you know, I am risking, you know, a little bit more in terms of making my price, in terms of my entry higher, but yeah, that's just what I do. What else do we got here? We have Nike here. It is breaking above those highs. This is looking really decent as well. And so I was a little bit scared for this. I thought that it was rejecting, because when I was looking on the 15-minute, I was kind of seeing these wicks here, but it's looking really strong for Nike, and it's ascending to that upside here. The bus stop levels that I'm looking at, I'm going to go and zoom out here, and then reasonably, I think that 77.76 is a target that I'm looking at. And then also here, 77.41. Why? Because like it was kind of a level in the pre-market here where we did have previous rejections dating from Tuesday as well as Monday on the 11th and the 12th. And so, yeah, I'm looking for the break of that. And I think reasonably, if we can get up there, then that is looking decent as well. Not necessarily getting out my full position there, but I would take a little bit of a piece off there. So that's what I'm looking at. Nike looking strong. What else do we got here?
Can I just respond
yeah,
to one
absolutely.
of these? Mass, I don't know, SAG T. I don't know what your name means or whatever, but all good. Hello, Sharif. My name is Masood. Bought NASDAQ at 20,521 yesterday. Let me just load up the NQ. I'm assuming you're talking about, let's have a look at the chart, Ram. Here we go, the NQ, 20,521, he says, okay? So where do we buy the NASDAQ? 521, okay, so you bought near the lows. Good on you. You literally bought the, the bottom of the day there. It looks good. Good look for you. What does he go on to ask? About 10 lots, level 300. I'm in losses. What do you think? NASDAQ is going down to... No, my friend, you're not in losses if you bought 521. So maybe we're talking about a different contract. Did you buy the December contract or did you buy the NDX? I don't know what the levels on the NDX are, but you're 300 points in the money. Let me read that out yesterday. I bought the NASDAQ at 20,521 yesterday, about 10 lots, level 300. I'm in losses. What do you think? NASDAQ is going down till 20,500. Please, I'm worried. Thank you. Yeah, so maybe you just need to explain your levels to me, my man, because you're about 300 points in the money right now if you bought at 25.21, because this is 25.21 right here. That's 2.2, but you get what I'm saying. And we're at 20,800. So I don't know how much money that is if on the NQ, but that's a lot. Each point, guys, on the NQ, Neil, if you remember, is how much? Like $5.50? $5? It's $5.50, something like that. So you're well in the money. So explain to me exactly what you mean by that. MNQ. It's $50 per point, I'm assuming, on the NQ. He must have shorted, says Hey Davis. Yeah, maybe he shorted. Yeah, look, if you shorted, that's trouble. Okay, so let's look at the technicals here in terms of what you're talking about. So there's a local level of support, resistance, right at this 20,850, and that goes all the way back to the 15th, right? So 20,850, we really haven't been decidedly above that. You can see, I believe yesterday we did quickly wick above 900, but we sold off. The other side of that, so that's the good side, is that we've got a bit of a level there. Now the bad side for you, if you shorted, is we're putting in higher lows on each successive trough. Now don't let these little breaches bamboozle you. Look at the majority of the area troughs. They're all successively higher than their predecessors, with kind of that 850 as acting as a flat top. So if I had an animation for it, I'd hit it, but this is the opposite. That's the opposite of what I'm talking about, a flat top break through 20,900. So I think you are looking at a bit of trouble here. Now, I don't know what kind of risk you're able to tolerate, what kind of account you're working with, but my friend, if we break and hold above 20,900 on a closing basis, get out of Dodge. Now, I don't know what again, it's probably $50 per point, but we don't have to go through that whole thing. Anyway, if we close above 20,900, I would cancel or I would cover my short position. But if you are long, then you're well in the money, and I don't think you have a problem there. So for now, we're going to go to Adara, and then Neil's going to have his lesson of the day.
SPY and the Qs looking like fraternal twins here, almost exactly the same pattern. The NASDAQ more or less flat in the day. S&P 500 slightly positive on the day, but they're both running into more or less double top resistance areas on the 15-minute chart. Once again, it's been a very exciting day for this market. We had some economic data this morning. Most importantly, at 10 a.m., a lower than expected Michigan consumer sentiment print and a higher than expected University of Michigan 5-year inflation print. So interesting look there in terms of economic data. In terms of market moving news, there's also a lot of that as well. We have more news coming out of Russia apparently testing a missile, sending PLTR to the upside, though it's worth noting not all these other defensive names are moving in the same direction. Boeing also on watch in that pseudo defense space. Boeing actually having this $2.38 billion deal with the U.S. Air Force. So lots of military and Air Force related plays on watch today. But what's also on watch is TSLA making pretty good looking bull flag here as far as we can tell right now on the 3-minute chart. Not seeing any news on Tesla specifically, but lots of companies invoking the new Department of Government Efficiency in their announcements. We know Intuit did it during their earnings call. And we also had LIFW, the small cap called LifeWallet, mentioning Tesla and the Department of Government Efficiency, specifically during a release as well. So interesting look here. Department of Government Efficiency, certainly on people's minds, as is TSLA near that 350 level. MicroStrategy, this is a great recovery. We chopped and churned and ranged a lot in the morning before having this nice breakout. As of right now, up 8%. Yesterday dropped pretty significantly with a short report from Citron Research. Now, though, climbing after announcing they've completed a $3 billion offering for 0% convertible senior notes. Apparently, they're going to use the proceeds of this, which is around $2.97 billion, to buy more Bitcoin. What else? So lots of tickers to keep an eye on. Make sure that you vote for your tickers of choice in our poll. You have until 12:30 for round 1. Then round 2 will populate around 12:30. The top 5 tickers out of those 8 will be covered by Neil and Obi during a rundown at 2 p.m. And they're all tickers that people are watching. So make sure you get your vote in. But for now, speaking of Neil, we're going to see what he's talking about for his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Thank you, Adara. Lesson of the day is you don't have to trade the open. And what I mean by that is everybody is looking, look, here, I love using extreme examples to make a simple point. So everybody loves moves like this. 9:30 happens and all you know what breaks loose. You get the biggest trade possible. You're short Google yesterday at the open, or let's just say MSTR, you're short MSTR right at 9:30. Bang. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And your day is done in the first few minutes because you captured everything you need. That's not every single day. And one of the things you got to remember about trading is it's not so simple as, okay, this is what I'm looking for, worked yesterday, I'm going to get this trade or find that set up every single day. That's not how it is, man. Remember the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule. 80% of your profits or 80% of your gains come in 20% of the days. There isn't going to be an A-plus setup every single day. And you know what? Sometimes when a stock does this one day, it does this the next. And you've got to find a way to tell yourself, what's the best opportunity? What do I need to wait for? What do I have to see before I execute in a trade? Because really, MSTR, great at the open yesterday. It's trending up, but not, I mean, it's a clean trend up, but nothing explosive. You're thinking after yesterday's move, breakout trades. There weren't any breakout. So what can you do if that's the case? Well, you exercise patience and find, in this case, once the trend is developed, you could have had, there's your first half an hour. All of a sudden, you've got higher lows and a hold of VWAP and a hold of VWAP and a trend higher. You wait for something to establish itself, and then you join. Or, I think a lot of times, we're like, oh, nothing's happening, I'm not going to trade that stock. And I'm 100% guilty of that with Reddit. Because if you saw us talk about Reddit this morning, it was like, okay, well, after that move yesterday, short pops into 150 was the plan of action. Now, if you were just looking at this at the open, oh yeah, we're not getting anything short, it dumps, does a reversal candle, here looking like it's going to bounce. In the first 5 to 10 minutes, I'm like, that short's not dumping. It's not really doing a heck of a lot on Reddit. So give up on it. Well, that was a mistake. Why? Because all of a sudden, going into 10 o'clock, Reddit is showing me pretty much what I was looking for on that short trade. Now, the next dog I'm going to show you is the reason why I'm not in Reddit. It's not a bad decision. But if you're just willing to say, hey, nothing is there at the open, so okay, great, don't trade it. Didn't see anything, don't trade it. But once it gets into that 9:45, 9:50, 10 o'clock, yeah, if it's setting up that trade, you want to make sure you're scanning back the ideas that you really love to give them a chance. Because when they work, they really work. And the other side of that is, even if you weren't looking at something, you've got to look for new opportunities. If something that you thought was I thought MicroStrategy was going to be the ish and it was just going to move like $100 today. If that's not happening, go find something that's setting up better. Or if you just stick to it and stubbornly think that MicroStrategy is going to do yesterday when it's not, well, you're just wasting your day trading. And in this particular case, it was Tesla that if you just simply waited for it, it was worth it. Now, obviously, I'm ending with this one for dramatic effect. No, but what was Tesla doing? Fail break of the high, fail break of the low, trend back up. And so in the open, probably trapping some shorts, bit of an inside range. If you look at it in the afternoon, essentially just takes the afternoon range and does nothing with it except shake people out in both directions. But you know what? If you're looking for a breakout setup, what's complicated about this? Little V-shaped bottom, strength trapping some shorts. When it gets to the pre-market high, starts holding it, you get higher lows with wick bottoms indicating a rejection of the bid into a defined top at an even dollar level on a Friday. That's not a difficult breakout trade to have, but you had to wait until 10:30 for that to happen. But that's the kind of trade that if you were looking for the big one on MSTR, well, there it is. It happened to be on Tesla, which wasn't part of my morning plan, which I had to pivot to. And sometimes that's how it is. There was no, at least for myself, I'm sure there was something out there. There were no home runs at the open. Maybe SMCI, you can make an argument for that. But if that's the case, you can either get frustrated with it and just start throwing money at stuff, or you can sit back, wait for the next opportunity. If it doesn't come, that's fine. You can sit it out. But then look for that chance for something bigger and better. Be willing to step away from your plan, which for me was stepping away from MicroStrategy, which the long still you could have found something, and working over to something that's set up really, really well or really easily, and just gives you the chance for a trade that you like, that you're comfortable putting on, that gives you the opportunity that you want. Because truth be told, especially on a Friday, the open in that first 5 or 10 minutes or even 15 minutes, you can just get straight up bamboozlement, right? It's an options expiration day. You're going to get a lot of stops running. Sometimes you're not going to get those clean moves. And when that dust is settled, maybe that's when you should put the chips in and wait around to be able to do so. And I'll leave you with one other one, give you with one other example in terms of being patient and waiting, because Adara had mentioned Palantir. If you wait around for something like this, it might not have, I don't think it would have been in anybody's trade plan today. Okay, so right at the open, you get the monster push to the upside on Palantir into prior resistance. But if you're willing to scan around for ideas, okay, pull back into prior resistance, great. But look at the VWAP hold here. Look at the VWAP hold. Look at the pullback into VWAP. Look at the breakaway from a double top. All of a sudden, you've got a stock, which if you weren't looking at it at 9:30, fine, fair enough. You don't want to get trapped in it. But when you settle it down, this again, after 11 o'clock, gave you a great breakout trade. It gave you a great VWAP trade. Day-making kind of trade. But if you've lost everything off the open, trying to maybe fight Nvidia to the downside or force things on MicroStrategy, then you don't get that trader. You don't get that Tesla trade. So sometimes you've just got to be able to back off so that you can go all in a little bit later in the session. It's not all about that first 5 or 10 minutes of the day. And that's your lesson of the day.
Thank you very much, Neil. Formative, eloquent, and you know what I'm going to say. Awesome, as always. Neil Roberts, every day around that noon hour, dropping his lesson of the day. I was going to say dropping hot lines, but I'm not allowed to
No,
say that
you're not
anymore.
allowed. No.
No.
The chat says no.
So a couple of things over here. I just want to talk about QMCO. Look, this one's putting in lower highs and lower lows, so we're doing well on, well, did well on it, but that's it. I'm not going to take it again until it sets up a little bit differently. So what we have here is area crest, area crest, area crest, and each crest successively lower than its predecessor. You also have that with the troughs. Each trough successively lower. So here we go, coming into that 740 level again, where we did hold up, and it wasn't an unpredictable level at which to hold up over here, because we did have that chop and churn at that level. Here we go with 7. Keep your eye on 7. 7 could be support. I'm not going to punch in ever with something like this as a resting order. It's going to have to prove to me 7 is a level, and then we'll weasel in. So what I did was I looked for it to hold up at this 740 area, and then true to form, I had to chase it because it doesn't give you that much time, but we did well on it. I got in, I believe, at 780s, and the best out that I had there was 737, not the airplane. Sorry, 837, and then got stopped out, break even for the remaining amount, as it did give up 8. Now, what it was doing earlier, well, not earlier, what it was doing for about 5 minutes or so while Neil was doing his lesson a day was it was holding 8. So you'd see it on the book and on the chart come into 8, and then there would be aggressive buying in and around there every single time. But that gave up. So that would be the end of my trade there. So keeping my eye on that one, see if it sets up a little bit differently. This one, CRNC, I'm really proud of. So we have almost top wick for now. We have 755 as my top out there. Initially, we did get in 705, took out the majority of the position. It came back in, tested 7. So true to form, I had to wait until it proved to me that 7 was a big boy level, punched in at 720, and then we took out most of the position at 755. I'm still holding a smidge over here, a small position. I'm waiting for the 760s. Now, we know that 760 HOD right now, and in fact, at that 760, we have an ugly looking topping tail candle. But again, as I mentioned yesterday, and many times when I trade these small cap gappers, don't put too much stock into one measly topping tail candle for these small cap gappers. It's different when you have a small cap gapper showing you a topping tail candle that's above the 10, 20 VWAP and everything, and literally at the day's high, and then the subsequent candle doesn't even break the 10. Which is, in fact, what happened here on CRNC, because we're still above the 10 exponential on the 5. Whereas if I saw this kind of candle on a MAG name, a MAG 7 name, I would be a lot more suspicious of what the trend to come would be. So I'm not done possibly adding to my position here on CRNC. If it sets up in the way that I like, I absolutely will add to this bad boy again. CRNC looking real good here, up 26 and change. Let's see what else is moving up. Moving on up over here. Omar, look, Omar's looking awfully VWAP hold high of day breaky. And what do I mean by that? So again, I've mentioned this in the past, but I have this kind of setup that I like to pretend that I trade, which is a big move up in the earlier part of the trading day with these small cap gappers, where they either hold or straddle VWAP for the majority of the afternoon. They neither make highs or make new lows, but they consolidate. Key thing is they consolidate above VWAP or at VWAP, straddling it. So the idea there is to build your position in that consolidation, hopefully around the volume weighted average price, so you can have a bottom that you can use as your area stop. And then the idea being, when the more liquid time of the day comes in, they test the high. Right now, on OMER, it's 979. So this is a little too far away for VWAP for me to set up that way. So if it does come down to that 9-teens, 920s, then I can start doing something like that. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. And let's flip to some of these other large caps. Yeah, the dead one is curling back right into that 230. Man, a lot of these, like Meta is on the way back up. Microsoft's on the way back up. So is Apple. You see weakness on Google and on Nvidia. And Amazon, I don't want to say weakness, but it's straddling VWAP from the south side. So it doesn't really yell strength here. In addition to that, it's below 200 again. I don't know what happened with Amazon. I feel like it was just a whole bunch of profit taken after we made those all-time highs. It's just below 200. Yeah, man, we weaseled up to 215. I didn't think we would give up the ghost that quickly at 200, quite frankly. 215 is a bigger move above 200. I thought we would use it as defense, but not so. So AMZN, anyway, intraday using VWAP right now as resistance. The other side of that coin is it's putting in higher lows. This trough higher than the other, so we could get a flat top break through that volume weighted average price. Keep in mind that the closing print on Amazon is 198.40. So even if you do break up above VWAP, above 198, you may encounter resistance 40 pennies later at that closing print today. So we'll keep tabs on that.
Awesome.
We have a lot of votes too. I'm very pleased. 1,400 already.
Yes, let's go. Can they still vote?
Yeah, they got
keep
to 12:30. Yeah.
Yes, 12:30. You got around 13 minutes. Let's go. Get those votes in. But I was in 3 trades as of right now, but I'm like, Satya, you need to slow your roll because one of them is working. And so, I feel like I had to kind of hop out of the other trades so that I can really put my focus on the trade that's actually working. So I was in BABA. I got in at 83.30, and I thought that there would be a hold of VWAP. But, it kind of stalled out and it's breaking below VWAP. So I kind of hopped out of that trade. So as you can see here, I hopped out of that one. So I didn't like that because, my gap trade is working out as of right now. And I feel like it makes more sense to start adding to the trade that is actually working for me rather than, dividing my attention between 3 tickers. And so I had to keep myself in check and it was a small loss, but I feel like that is better than me kind of managing all these trades at the same time, because if something's working for you, just put more capital into that. And so that is what I'm going to do here. And so gap is printing. I got in at 24.22. It's currently at 24.47, and I'm going to let that ride. And then SMCI, I still think that this is going to work out. I got in around 32.17, but then just because my gap trade is working and I kind of just don't like the choppy action that's happening here, like I saw these bottom wicks here, 31.80. I still think that the trend is down because it is getting to the 9 EMA and then it's still rejecting off of the 9 EMA, but I think that just keeping my focus on one ticker as of right now will suffice better than me just dividing my attention. But I still think that this is a great play. I just want to keep focused on one thing. And so yeah, it's going to the downside. Of course, when you hop out of a trade, of course, that's when it starts to do what the action that you want it to do. But I think that, as a trader, you're always going to be mad. And so, let's just alleviate that stress and focus on the things that are winning. And so this is printing. We are currently up 24.60 from 24.22. So I'm going to let that ride. How about you, Sharif?
I'm just talking to a bunch of people in the chat there, and I was talking to one of the OGs, Gorav, and he's like, look, bro, Starbucks looking awfully good here today, Ram Ram. I don't know. We know Ram Ram loves to go to Starbucks. So let's have a let's have a look at S-Bucks right now. It's a great looking chart. First of all, let's start with the daily. I know that's not what you're asking about, Gora, but I want to show everybody Okay, first of all, let's go to the weekly, because I want to show you guys the $70 level that's held for like a number of years. First, we got it as resistance back in January of 2019. Don't account for this. This is the COVID drop in March of 2020, so this is an anomaly. But look at where we were holding before that. 70. Okay, that's July and June of 2020. Oh, what happened in 2022 when the market sold off? Where did we hold up? 70. What happened over here in April and July of this year? You're going to say it with me. Come on, guys. 70. So $70, one hell of a level on Starbucks. I should have been more alive to that when it was down there. But there's a beautiful double bottom here on Starbucks. That's from the weekly. Now, let's weasel on over to the daily. This is, I think, when they introduced, what's his name? The guy from Nickel, the Nickel dude. From, what's it called? From Chipotle. Brian Nickel? Yeah, his name is Brian Nickel. That's when they reported that they were kicking out the old dude, and they brought in this man over here, and you got a big boy bump on the stock. Since that time, sure, it's not parabolic, but look what it's doing. Higher lows uninterrupted, with 100 acting as a local level of resistance, or it had been until today. I think we made local highs today. This today high on the 22nd, we have not been this high on Starbucks, Gaurav, since November of last year. This is 52-week highs. Are we actually at 52-week highs on Starbucks? I think we are. I'm gonna have to check my platform in a different area right now, but I think we are at 52-week highs on Starbucks. So obviously a trending name. Intraday, Gaurav, I was telling you in the chat, I like it off that 101.50, 101 and a third to account for this area crest. And it was also a consolidation top before we took it out there, 11:45. Your point is very well taken, though, that it bounced off VWAP very respectfully and, making new highs. But, I'm not going to punch in at the highs, Gaurav, so it's got to come into a technical area of support. And to me, that's around 101.50 to 101.30. If it does come in there, let me know, and I can definitely weasel into this trade. But this is a good-looking chart. If you were trying to play the ranges at 70, that's number one. Number two, it's taking out the $100 level. We'll see today if it does it decisively on a closing basis. Again, closing print's more important than anything else because that's committed money. That's the money that's hanging out overnight. And number two, the trend, the higher lows is it's very clear. So what the higher lows, obviously, in technical analysis means people are more exuberant about this stock, buying it on every, dip, but higher and higher and higher. So it's a good look right now for Starbucks, both from a daily, a weekly, intraday. It's not a bad look here. Obviously, when you zoom out, we're definitely not nearly at highs, but if you're riding the trend, it's certainly it's an interesting look there on Starbucks. So, Gaurav, let me know how you end up playing that. It's a good look intraday, though. I will not be taking it until it comes into that 101.50 or 101.30s. Let's weasel back on over to the trade that we've got right now. We're long at 736er for the last remaining amount. And the reason I did that is because I added like an idiot over here by accident, and then I took it out. So the cost basis got messed up there. So it looks like we're not going to get the print there on CRNC at 63s. But yeah, I'm going to take it out here. I don't need to let this go against me. What I'll do is I'll look to get in possibly at 725 or 720 again on CRNC to account for the 20 exponential dip. Right now, it is respectful, though, of the 10. So maybe I took that out too quickly. The 10 exponential moving average is being respected right now with a 732 price area for the 10 exponential on the 5. But it is putting in lower highs. So yeah, I'll look to reinitiate that one if it is warranted. Looking at some other names over here, Goggles, the weak one is at VWAP. So this is a possible interesting short here, 165 and a quarter GOOGL. And look what it did before. It's been respectful of VWAP, both as support and resistance. Look, it was using it as support from, let's say, this candle, 935 onwards. It gave up the ghost at 1025, and since 1025, it has been using it as resistance. So possible short right now, Google 165.25. It's at 14s right now. It just weaseled on up to the volume weighted average price. Might be an interesting short. Satea, what are you looking at?
Awesome. I'm looking at Mara right now, and it's at an interesting price level, 25.47, and it's breaking through yesterday's kind of local high here in the afternoon. And so 25.50, it's breaking out. It's trying to get to this high of day around 25.60, and so this looks really good as well. Usually I would say that, this type of move is overextended, but what gives me more confirmation here is the break of, that yesterday's high. And so that is very interesting as well. So we have Mara going there. SMCI is also breaking out above VWAP. And I really like that I got out of this trade because it just wasn't doing the action that I wanted it to do. And that consolidation was kind of getting me worried. And so I was a little bit scared for this move. And I'm glad that I got out when I did because this is blasting off. I really like the fact that it made that consolidation first because that gives me more confirmation that, the indecision has already kind of happened already. And then we are getting that volume coming in. So that looks really good as well. And then what else do we got here? Gap. So I got in at 24.22, and then I took off a piece at 24.60, and then I have the rest riding at 24.49. So it looks like, okay, it just got me out there on gap, and so I'm okay with that. I did think that there was going to be a little bit of a pullback there, but I did catch the move that I wanted to capture, and then if it does continue, I think I'll hop back in, but I think that that was the scalp that I was looking for. So I'm going to hit the bang for that one. I'm going to hit the bang for that one, of course, and so really happy with that trade, because gap is not usually something that I trade, but it was on the trending ticker list. The R-vol is high, which is something that you should pay attention as well. The R-vol is at 10, and so that is pretty strong as well. Anything over, I find 5 is something that you should pay attention to, and so that was looking really good on gap. And then BABA, I'm glad that I got out of that because it did reject from the price that I got in, 83.30, and then it's just breaking below VWAP, so glad that I got out of that one. And then what else do we got here? Someone is saying, Mara doesn't care about VWAP. It has a mind of its own. Bitcoin its own, and runs Bitcoin runs. I mean, yeah, I mean, the thing is though, like in this game, you could find entries and exits just based off of your style. And so because I'm not in it very long, I feel like, you know, you can still use VWAP. And so maybe not for a longer trade, but I think that it is significant as well. And so I think VWAP was more used in this like at 10:30, like earlier on in the trade, and so I still think that it's staying strong with that one here. Someone's saying long Nvidia, so let's take at my girl Nvidia. Oh, Nvidia, she's not doing, you know, she's not having any life as of right now. I wish that I could time the bottom on this one, but it just doesn't seem like a long to me as of yet. If we look on the hourly chart, we still don't see any candles closing green. I think that the bounce points that we are looking at, though, is 140.84. That is a potential bounce level, or even 139.90. I think that I would look at those prices before I start looking long, because I wouldn't want to get in here and then it kind of moves against me, because there really is no confirmation that, you know, this is going to bounce as of right now. We are locally kind of making, you know, these lower highs on the lower time frame, but it's just getting up to this 142.30 level and then just banging down, and so I don't really like that. I feel like just giving a little bit more life, I want to see it get above 142.55 and see what we do from there, but the real level that I'm looking at is the break of VWAP for that long. What else do we hear? Rippin' Ron Pan. He's saying BA. That was a tongue twister there. Oh my gosh. But I'm looking at Boeing here, and this is really interesting as well. I really like the fact that it's breaking through this local high here that we had in the morning, 10.54. And so it is looking like it's retracing a little bit to the 9 EMA and this level. And so let's see here. Let's look on the higher time frame. I like the fact that this is very distinct to me. This 9 EMA bounce, that strong wick on Boeing, is very, very interesting. And so, yeah, I think that that's not a bad play. I feel like I missed the move a little bit. I want to see a little bit of a retracement here. So maybe I'm looking at a retracement at 147, just around here. And so hopefully we do get that dip by. But if not, you know, it's going without me, but this is looking strong. How about you, Sharif?
The dead one is at 230, guys. AAPL. Now, look, if you've been looking at this thing like I have to every day, it's had trouble with 230 for a hot minute. Intraday, it's had trouble with 230. You know, outside the intraday, obviously on the daily, the weekly, whatever, it's had trouble with 230. Zigging and zagging with it right now. I'm not really inclined to want to short this, to be honest with you, because I haven't traded Apple well. I'll just call a spade a spade. I don't trade it well. I think if I was to audit my trades, I'd be negative on it than positive. So I want to leave it the hell alone and not get involved with it. But if you're inclined to trade Apple, I'm telling you that there's likely resistance at 230. So that's where we're at right now. Now I'm short goggles. And the reason I'm short goggles, because it weaseled into VWAP. I've already wet my beak a couple of times there on Google. Look, I'm going to be patient with this one. I know it's zigging and zagging. It's not, you know, dropping like it's hot like it was earlier. Anyway, it's already beat down. It got beat down yesterday. Lost 120 billion quick as you like in market cap like that. So I know that it's already beat down a little bit and it might have some buyers around here, but the fact of the matter is it's worked its way into VWAP and rejected every single time. And so that's what I want to get involved with right now. So that's what we're doing. We're going to take another beak wetter right there. Bang! Nice. Okay. So a few beak wetters right now on goggles. Let's set up another beak wetter. I'm going to hang out just, shy of that whole dollar, knowing likely that the whole dollar does encounter some psychological support. As people place orders there, if Google comes into 165, I want to buy, and so you place it like a couple of pennies above that. So whatever reason, there is psychological support at the whole dollar level. So I've set it up a little bit about that. But we got to go to the human algo at the big desk. What do you got?
We're actually be here at the big screen looking at the IWM, which is nicely up on the day. This thing is actually near 239s, I believe just above 238 halves, up more than 1%, so almost 2%, I believe, to the upside for the Russell 2000. So continued great look. We have a lot of small caps. I'm going to give Sharif a shout out because he's covered quite a few of these, but we're going to talk about some other ones moving, including Quantum Corp, QMCO. This one doesn't actually have any catalyst from today, but it's worth noting on Wednesday they announced their new generation series here for apparently greater cyber resilience for the edge, the core, and the cloud. So this announcement on Wednesday, not what's moving QMCO today, but it's worth noting they have about an 18.3% short float, just over 4 million share float. Next up, we have VUZI. This one, much like QMCO, no news today, but they had a catalyst on Wednesday. Again, so pretty similar to QMCO. Announcing here that they have their smart glasses now available for $499. VUZI does have a short float of about 18.7%. And last but not least, we have SKK. This one has been quite the mover yesterday on everyone's minds. No catalyst moving to the upside and then sharply to the downside. Lots of halts. This name is actually a recent IPO. It debuted on the NASDAQ going back to October 9th. So keep an eye here on SKK, but a 4 million share float there for what I was seeing for SKK, which is a Singapore-based ADR, guys.
Very much for that, Adara. Appreciate you there. My favorite segment of the day is going to be the small capper segment, obviously, right? So
Absolutely.
What are you looking at, Stan?
For sure. So right now I'm looking at the QQQs because someone mentioned it in the chat, and this one's very interesting. Usually I like to trade it because it's always volatile. I feel like it gives me the volatility that I need, but I just don't like this range that it's kind of in. It's bouncing off of this 502, 502.89 as well as this 506.32. And so this happened, in the morning at 9:48, and then this bottom happened here at 10:30. Was it 10:30? Yeah, 10:27. Call it 10:30. And I just don't like the range that it's making, to be honest. If you're a range trader, this is your dream. If you're a momentum trader, I'm not really liking this, to be honest. But what I do like about it is the fact that it does have kind of distinct levels that you can risk off of. If you're going short, this could be a risk level, the day's high, 506.34. If you're trying to go long, 503.26 can be a risk level, as well as this day's low at 502.93. So there's plays for everybody, I think, but this is just not in my playbook because it's just a little bit too rangy for me. And then SMCI, it's going up. It's strong above VWAP. It's consolidated a little bit up below and above VWAP, but it's looking like it's trying to really break out there. And so that looks really good as well, like the fact that it's holding the 9 EMA. If we look on the 30-minute as well, looking really strong as well. And so I really want to see it get to that 34.18. So yeah, I think that getting in here, it's not a bad play at all. And I think that that is something that I'm going to weasel my way into. So I'm going to put my order here at 33.10 on SMCI, and hopefully we do get the fill there because I am very convinced that this is going to the upside, as Sharif would say. And yes, I need that. So we're going to put that in there. And so it got me in. Oh, it's right at 33.10. So just got filled there, and so that is looking really interesting. And I'm going to put my stop loss right below here, 31.83, because I believe if it gets to that point, I don't want to be holding on to this bag. I'm wrong, I'm out. But I think that this is looking strong there, and then as the trade starts working, then I'm going to put my stop loss at break even, and then kind of just bring it up as it gets higher there. So 31.83, 31.80s, that's what I'm going to put my stop loss at, and we'll go from there. And then someone was also talking about, let's see here, sound. Let's see what sound is doing.
Okay.
Let's see here. Sound here. Oh, wow. I'm surprised you're not in this, Sharif, because
I know,
this
I
has
was trading it yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this one is going crazy to the upside. I feel like with this one, kind of just looking at the psychological levels, you know, maybe a dip buy at 8. It's currently at 820. So that's something that I would like to see. And so if I'm looking at, you know, a local bus stop level and kind of zooming out here, let's see. Let's go on the 3 hour. I think my local bus stop level, I'm looking at 875 as well as 930. This happened of March, Friday, March 15th. And so it's a little bit far, but I think that we are definitely close enough to get there. And so that is something that I'm looking at. Sound looking strong. What else? Someone's saying arm pop. Arm pop. Let's see here. ARM, yeah, this is doing a dance as well. I like the fact that we rejected in the morning at 11 a.m., 135. We got to VWAP at, what was it here? 1133, around 133.65, and then we're just trending up to the upside. It does look like it's struggling a little bit with this top, and so maybe I might want to see a little bit of a retracement to VWAP before I get involved. But I think whatever happens first, either the retracement to VWAP around 133.77 or the break of this high, 135.08, those are kind of the two levels that I'm looking at. And then someone is saying Tesla. So what else is our girl Tesla doing? This is very interesting. I do like the fact that it's holding above that level. One thing I don't like about it is kind of like the volume is dwindling a little bit. Like maybe if we could look on the tape, that kind of gives us a little bit more confirmation as to what is happening. And so, you know, I'm not seeing that volume really bringing the price up. And so it is consolidating, which I do like before the break. But as of right now, I'm just not convinced. Maybe a dip buy here around 351.25 or honestly at the psychological level of 350. How about you, Sharif?
We're continuing to bleed here on Google off that VWAP projection. So I just covered a little bit there at 92s. Let's see what we get. Okay, Mike is messed up. I send it back to you.
Yeah. So what else are we looking at? Someone is staying. MAMA, Mama? That's funny. I've never heard of that ticker. Let's look at Mama. Oh my, this is not a day trader's dream. It's just not too volatile, but it does look like it kind of has a distinct kind of move off of VWAP. Not too much volume there. Maybe if we look on the 30-minute, we'll see some life. And so it does look strong on the 9 EMA and VWAP. And so, you know, if you are a long-term investor, it's looking great. It's looking green. And so if we zoom back out, a level that I want to see a pop above is $8.96, call it $9. And we are closely approaching there. So that looks really good for the long. How about you, Sharif?
All right, sorry about that. Just the mic was messed up. So we covered some at 92s now. The last out for Google, I'm going to put at 77s just to account for this area top end of the range over here that we were ranging at between 164.33 and essentially 164.80. And that might come a lot faster than I thought. Here we go, dipping into the low 80s. Google really bleeding here. I've set up at 77s. Okay, maybe that was not enough of a goal. Well, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Let's see if we get printed down into 82s. We go 81s now showing up on the level, or sorry, the time and sales. So I'll keep an eye on that. But I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not having shorted at 230 on Apple. I didn't want to trade this because I don't trade it that well, quite frankly, but it does do the obvious rejection. The high of the day is only 2013, so you didn't even need to give it that much room in order to, you know, to not get stopped out. Give it 15 pennies, 13 pennies there would have sufficed. So AAPL rejecting again, 230. It's an area of resistance on the daily. It's an area of resistance intraday as well. So setting up interesting right now on AAPL. Now back to Google. Here we go. 77s now showing up, and that's going to be the end of my trade there. So really happy with this trade on GOOGL. Now I'm going to flip long on Google if it does come back into that low of the day. The low of the day is 164.25. It had a lot of buying in and around there. It wasn't just a quick move up. On Google, look at all these bottoming tail candles at that 164 and a third or so. I misspoke, not 25, it's third. So the closing prints all at the $0.50 level with the wicks going into a third. So a bit of a possible dip zone there. If it doesn't continue to move down, I'll be looking to short again, possibly off VWAP. But in any event, I'll look to go long 164.50 to 164.33 for a scalp on GOOGL. But good luck right now. Happy with this trade on Google. What else we got moving over here? Ram, I sent you the new poll. It's 12:40, so I think we need to do the new poll. We've got a lot. I think this is a record for us. Okay, so this is really good. So we have 1,645 votes. I think yesterday was the record that we had, like 1,500. The day before that was 14. So you guys are doing fantastic, by the way, in voting. Fantastic look. So we're going to throw up that new poll in a hot second. Please give it the same amount of energy that you gave that first poll. Right now, Tesla taking the cake. It's got more than half the votes, 54%. Second goes to MicroStrategies at 21%. Shout out to Michael Saylor there at Google, taking third place with 16, and Reddit dead last. Single digits for Reddit, come on. 8% there. We didn't even, maybe because we didn't talk about Reddit all that much. Let's give it Reddit.
It's blasting off as of
Is
right
it
now,
actually?
yeah.
Let's have a
From
look.
VWAP, it's looking good.
Let's weasel on in here, intraday to Reddit. Okay, yeah, it's right into that, close to that high day, about 50 pennies or so, off that 149 on the dot high of the day. But yeah, your point is very well taken, Stan, in the sense that it really did defend that 143.50 and really hasn't looked back since then. And when it did break above VWAP and it chopped and churned for a hot minute, look where the dips went into, right into VWAP. So the respect is there. Good. So we can try to base something off that. Obviously, we'll keep an eye out for a 149 break and take to see if that level does get taken. Maybe we can use that 149 as support on the way up. So that's what I'll keep my eye out on there. But Google is the one that's I'm keeping my eye out on right now. It's working back above that 165 level. So I'm happy I covered where I did at 77s. Because look where the low there was, 73. So not a bad look so far as it works its way right above there. Let's see there we go. Okay, so now we got the new poll. Shout out to Ram. Thank you for doing that. So let's see. Which one are you going to vote for? We got Mara. We got Apple. We got even that monster QMCO that's up a zillion % of the day. And then we have Soundhound.
I'm going to go with Mara.
Okay. Yeah, you've got it right there. Okay. Mara, I'm going to go, well, let's see. I'm going to go QMCO only because I traded. I know people are not going to vote for that because they're not into that small cap gapper life. 70 votes already, guys. You guys are killing it. We just put it up. Mara winning so far 34% for Marathon Digital's Apple with 25, tied with Sound. Already 100 votes. You guys are quick. I'm loving this, man. So we'll keep an eye out on that, and we'll let you know at the end of the show what's going on there. What do you got, Steph?
Yeah, for sure. So right now I was actually looking at Mara, but we're going to cover that after the show, you said, right?
No, you can look at it.
I can look at it now?
The big kahunas are going to give their opinion about it, that's all.
Got it. Yeah, so I'm looking at it. I was a little bit scared because it was, retracing from those highs, but then the fact that it's trying to reclaim that high again, I really like those plays where it bounces off a level and then makes kind of a two-man touch there, and it looks like that it's trying to break through that 25.58. So this is looking really strong on Mara, and I think that, that's because, Bitcoin is kind of making all-time highs too as well. So if we go here, someone was saying, like right now, Bitcoin made a high of 99,432. And so, obviously I think that Mara is kind of going to move in kind of unison with it as well. Not necessarily like always, but I think that because it's making all-time highs, it only makes sense for Mara to also do so and, make a higher high here on the day. And so that looks really strong as well. So that is looking really great. What else do we got here? Someone is saying MSTX. So let's take a look at that. MSTX here.
Yeah, that's the MicroStrategies one I was talking about.
Okay. Oh, yes. That's like the derivative of it. You said, okay. Oh, yeah. So this is looking strong as well. I was telling Sharif, off camera that I kind of struggle with when I can clearly see that it's making, a higher trend. But a lot of the time when it does this choppy action, I kind of struggle with how to get in and things like that. And so he was saying that, looking at like even dollar levels or just, posting at the 9 EMA, because if it's bouncing off of the 9 EMA, then it's likely to just continue that same trend. And so this is looking really good as well. If, the MSTR is a little bit too expensive for you at $440 or $441, you could get MSTX, and it's a little bit cheaper here, the derivative 141.12. So that is looking decent as well. And so my SMCI trade It's a slow burner. I thought that I would see a little bit more volume here, but I'm just gonna let it ride. I'm not going to, fret too much about it until I see the break of VWAP. But I think that I just need, just being patient is great. And so as I was talking, then it starts shooting to the upside. And so ask and you shall receive. And so that is what I'm looking at there. And then someone is saying CLSK.
Yeah,
so
it's going 12 1/3. Can you believe that? With no headline, not that I see anyway.
That is crazy. Yeah, that is looking really strong. It's breaking through that day's high here, and that is looking great. The bus stop level that I'm looking at.
Obi just told me something profound. I have to tell you.
Yeah.
It's moving because of Bitcoin.
Are
you shocked? A miner is moving because of Bitcoin?
Oh, that's what this is. Okay.
He's
Fair
so
enough.
informative.
Yeah, that makes sense then. I've never heard of this ticker before, but if they're a miner, that only makes sense, to be honest. All the crypto-related names, I feel like right now, it's making all-time highs. We're getting near that $100,000 mark, so I think that in unison, other crypto-related stocks are going to move in play as well. So that is hot. That's looking great. For day traders, though, long-term investors, you're printing up a storm. But we're day traders, so what are we looking at? What are the levels that are we looking to take profits? And I'm looking at this 15.25. I think that's reasonable. That was yesterday's high. Yesterday's high. And so that is something that I'm looking at as well. And then I feel like this is a little bit far off, but 15.56, I don't think we'll necessarily get that today, but I think 15.30 is something that I'm looking at. How about you, Sheree?
I'm looking at Tesla right now, Satya, because it is kind of rounding. Off that 20. I don't know if it's a 20 exponential moving average. It looks like to be on this particular chart, or it's maybe the 252.50 level. But here's what I'm seeing on TSLA. Found a bit of a bottom. If we could look at the majority of the closing prints, it looks like that 252, 252.25. We'll get to that in a hot second, but we got to pay bills right now. So we're going to have a look and shout out, guys. Trade the pool. Here we go. Are you ready to take your stock trading skills to the next level? Trade the Pool X Trader TV stock trading competition is coming soon, and it's bigger than ever. So from Friday, December 2nd to December 6th, you'll receive $200,000 in buying power to make your best moves and compete for incredible prizes. And here's the best part. The top 20 places win, so there's plenty of opportunity to secure a reward. So gear up for this intense 5-day trading showdown and prove yourself against other traders. Whether you're aiming for the top spot or looking to make your mark, this competition is designed to push you to your trading peak. The countdown is on, so do not miss out. Click that link in the description or go on over to the bottom right of your screen and scan that QR code. Shout out to the good folks at Trade the Pool. Yeah, so what I was looking at before we were doing that read, Ram, is this curling effect right now on TSLA, and it's up a good amount, leading the pack in terms of leading the Mag 7 on the day. It's up 4 3/4, by far and away the strongest. Just how do we work into this? There is the closing print on that topping tail candle that formed at 5. Here it is. Let's have a look at the level there. So, essentially 356. 356 is the closing print. Obviously, you've got multiple wicks, or not multiple, 2 wicks on the 5 that breach it all the way up into 361.53. But look how long we spent there, almost all of nothing. Let's flip to the 1 minute to see exactly how long we did spend there. Again, it was less than a minute because this one you shot up. So this looks like a liquidity grab, because this is quite unusual for me to see on Tesla, especially when you just go right back into trading in the range that you were trading in before. So interesting there for Tesla. But in any event, finding resistance as expected at 356. Down we go, $1. We just dropped $1 off that 356 level, down below 355, 354 mid-80s right now on TSLA. So I'll keep tabs on that. 356 level is important. If we take it on a closing basis, maybe we can work our way and use it as support. We're still putting in higher highs and higher lows, however you slice it. whether 356 rejected intra-candle or not, we're still putting in higher highs and higher lows. So that rounding effect continues to manifest on Tesla. How we work into it, an entirely different story, though. So I'll keep tabs on that. Also, the same trade keeps repeating over here on AAPL. It keeps working into 230 or thereabouts, high of the day. We're still dealing with that same HOD that we printed at 9:35 this morning. That's 2014, excuse me. Did we just make a new high? No. 2014 is the high of the day. We just made a new high, excuse me. This candle just did breach it by 1 penny, but again, no continuation, still zigging and zagging with that 230 level as sellers or people instituting shorts at that level continue to come in. Let's look at the daily, because the daily kind of sums up the picture there that 230 has been resistance. And in fact, it has been since October 30th when we gave it up on a pretty decisive basis. The next day, we opened up, or we got into, 231. But look where the low was there, 220, $10 worth of range on Apple. A little bit unusual, a bit of an outlying day. Nonetheless, look what's happened since that time that we made that 220 low. Higher lows every single time, and it's a bit of an upward channel too, even though, that 230 level is still intact. But these bad boys over here weren't getting to 230. 230 we started dancing with, looks like here on the 18th, 19th, and then successfully on from there. But the higher lows is really instructive here on Apple since that October 31st low. Let's call it an October 31st local low. Separately, obviously, when you look at Apple from a wider time frame, it's looking like an ascending wedge with successively higher lows and that 235, 237 flat top break. I think we probably get that maybe in the Q1 or Q2 of next year, if I'm really being conservative. The reason I say that is because we're getting Apple Intelligence dropped in segments. So the first segment already dropped. We're going to get another segment, I believe, early 2025, and then either March or April is expected to be the big Apple Intelligence release. So we'll have to keep tabs on that, and we'll probably range and zig and zag until that time, right? Because that's what we're really looking for here, that super cycle. Another theory could be, if once we get Q4 results in 2025, the reason I talk about Q4 is because it's their best quarter, far and away. And you only need to look at a historical earnings chart in order to see that. And the reason Q4 is so strong is it's a Christmas quarter, right? Everybody's buying these iPhones, Macs, iPads, AirPods, Apple Watches, whatever else for presents. So you always see a higher sales in and around that time. And I'll submit to you that if you're really going to get that super cycle, it's going to be around gift giving season. So we'll have to maybe wait until Q1 of 2025 to find out what Q4 of 2024 did or how it did. So that's my little spiel there. Now back to technicals. Okay, so the future just broke up above this little range that we were putting in at 20,850. We worked our way into that 2/3 of a level, and that has a lot of these Mag 7 names moving up. Google moved up. Microsoft moved up. Meta just took VWAP for the first time since at around 10 o'clock. So Meta working its way, into 560. Apple just squeezed through the high of the day there, 230.31. Apple really going here, really breaking above the highs, but I'm still, of the opinion that we probably retrace below 230 to close out the day, but intraday it's something else. 230.38, this one's really going at the high. Apple really going here, people. Let's see, it's almost 1%. Any headlines? No, there's not going to be headlines. So we'll keep tabs on that. The future up, Microsoft up, Meta up, Apple up. Not much else. Let's flip to some of these small cap gappers. Very sideways, as you can see. Not much happening in terms of trend with these bad boys. Let's look to see on the scanner if there's any new small cap gappers making their way onto the scene over here. That are doing, a respectable amount of volume. Nothing that I really like, to be quite honest with you, as I look through my scanner over here. MSTU, holy cow, $231. Yeah, so that's because MSTR is doing what? MSTR, that's obviously a derivative. Yeah, that's why. It's just, it's a derivative product of it, so that's probably why. What are you looking at there?
For sure. So I'm looking at the QQQs. It's showing some form of life, and it bounced off of VWAP at 1240, and then it's working its way up to the local high here at 506. 506.32 is the high of the day. And so I want to see a potential break at that level or a rejection. If I see a wick at that level, I'm looking possibly to kind of use that as a risk level and go short. But if I do see the break of that level, I think that this is looking like a decent long here. So that is something that I'm eyeing here. Tesla, it was also something that I was eyeing. I mean, it looked decent for a second because it was holding the 9 EMA at least on the 3-minute, but then it still kind of seems like it's in this range between 351.57 and then this high here, 356.70. And so, I don't know. I mean, if you're giving it like, $2 to $3, then, maybe you might get chopped up here. If you're giving it like 5 to 6, maybe you can kind of hold for, the duration of the move. But I'm just not liking it as of right now, to be honest. I do want to see a little bit more volume here, either a test at this level or the break of that level. I think that this middle ground here is just making me a little bit wary, but I think that it is still in an uptrend, and maybe it's just doing a little bit of a pullback is what we're looking
Sorry,
for.
just want to mention something. There's a headline here on Snapchat, guys. Snap is breaking out. Okay, so let's throw it to Adara.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Sharif. I was going to basically say the exact same thing you've said here. We have SNAP strong here with volume. This headline actually initially came out around 10:30 a.m., but Snap here, Snap Inc. denying child exploitation allegations and looking to have its lawsuit dismissed. These are brought by the New Mexico Attorney General. So this is not a huge suit. It looks like it's specific to the state of New Mexico, but either way, SNAP pushing to the upside with strong volume. On that catalyst, we have a 7.6% short float, guys.
Yeah, it's not a headline you want to be associated with, I can promise you that. So, yeah, they did file a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres said. So, yeah, basically the lawsuit did allege that the company's platform facilitated child exploitation. Nobody wants to be associated with that headline, I promise you that. Anyway, so right now, good move up for Snap, 6.12% here, Ram, as it takes out that 11 1/3. Now, what's the trade on this? I hate punching in at highs, especially when there's uninterrupted greenery like there is right now. So I'd like something off 11. I probably don't get that. 11.06 or 11.05 seems to be an area top over here that we consolidated at for a hot minute before we took it. So we rejected off it initially at 12 o'clock. We touched it again, 12:20. And then the eventual break obviously came at a quarter to 1. Holy cow, it's almost 1 o'clock. Wow, that was quick. So, yeah, Snapchat breaking out, but I just do not like punching in at highs right now. 6.11% into that 11.05 or 11 level, then we can have a different discussion. But right now, it's at highs. It's printed new highs. Here we go. Here comes 11.33. 11.31 is now showing up on the bid. So good look for here for Snapchat. What else? Saad Mahmood, maybe a scalp reversion of the break of that trend. Sure, it's got to break, though, the trend, Saad. And right now, it's still hanging out at highs, Ram, because it didn't really break anywhere below that. It's at 11.29. The high of the day is 11.31. So we're basically at highs. I'm going to have to throw Snapchat onto the side chart here. It just really depends on who we're going to take off. And PTLE is no longer to my liking, so we're going to throw on Snap. And then, yeah, we'll keep tabs on it from there. So it does retrace, and I'm going to throw out a couple of alerts for the levels that I like so I can be made aware if it does retrace into that level, but I'm not going to punch in at highs. So keep an eye out on that. How are we doing here with Apple? Apple was breaking out. We were yelling about that. It's still at the high. It really hasn't given up much of the high there. 230.50. Now we're printed 41s. No continuation with the same strength. But now the question to me is, so is 53 pennies enough of a level to get away from, the 230 level, or enough of a move, sorry, I should say, to get away from 230? Enough in the sense that we can use 230 now as support? I don't think so. Because I'd like to see a closing print above 230 on the daily before I start feeling like, oh, yeah, okay, 230 is going to be support. People are going to be buying down here. We're still talking about an intraday level, 230.53, which is really nothing in the grand scheme of things relative to 230. I mean, if you were to look at it on the daily chart, you wouldn't even be able to tell it was above 230 that day. So I'm going to keep an eye out on Apple. If it does retrace into 230, maybe we'll take a dip trade there, but Right now, I'm not liking anything right now. I got to tell you the truth. Gaurav was saying Meta broke VWAP aggressively with volume, and you're not wrong. We did report when Meta did take out that level. But look, Meta's still negative on the day. We're still about 2/3%. We're below pivots. We're below the IB high. We're below the closing print, obviously being negative. So I'm not going to throw too much into that. In fact, if it does come to 558.5 where VWAP is, I could be persuaded possibly into a dip trade, but I'm not punching in at these highs. But Adira has something for us at the big desk.
I do. We're going to talk about our crypto segment right now for the afternoon. And I'm excited about this segment because we're going to talk, of course, about Bitcoin being near 100,000 for the first time ever, or approaching that 100,000 level. But we're also going to talk a little bit about Doge and Ripple. To start, though, we have BTC. This is the daily chart continuing to push up here near that 100,000 level, currently around 99 flat. Looks like our high of day, though, here was a push just below 99.5. So let's see where Bitcoin goes. But I think it's also worth noting XRP, because this name has been really strong recently. Let's do XRP USD. That was the market cap chart. There we go. Nice volume increase here over the last 2 days, sharply to the upside. This move has been attributed in part, or in the majority, to the fact that Gary Gensler, chair of the SEC, is going to be resigning effective January 20th, 2025, so right as the Trump administration takes over. This is especially notable because this was good for the whole crypto space, but Gary Gensler was notably critical there of XRP during his time in the SEC. So great look for Ripple. If you look at the 1 month chart too, which I'll show you guys here, this is our monthly candle here for XRP. It is up more than 150% so far this month. And we're near monthly highs, looking to take out that previous resistance level going back to April 2021 at 163. So great look here for XRP. What about Doge? Dogecoin looking really strong here as well, looking like a bit of a bull flag. This one's been strong since the election, but it's also, of course, had that boost with regards to the Department of Government Efficiency. Initially, this was something that Elon Musk had posted on Twitter a while back. Now it's an official, or looking to be a government department, according here to President-elect Donald Trump. Elon Musk going to be running it there with Vivek Ramaswamy. But it's interesting, in the last day, we've seen not one but two companies invoke Doge. We had Life Wallet here, LIFW, that's a small cap, mentioning how they want to be aligned with the initiatives of Dogecoin during an unrelated press release. And then we had Intuit during their earnings call, INTU, saying they're excited to partner with Doge with regards to a simplified tax code, because we know Doge initially, there were reports of some work in taxes that sent INTU to the downside. Now Intuit saying, hey, Doge, we want to work with you. So DOGE, really interesting look as people continue to invoke this department, bringing up the crypto coin, guys. Lots to talk about here.
Just love the use of the keywords. It's great. What are you looking at, Stea?
As of right now, I am looking at SMCI. So I just wanted to cover like the trade that I had on this one. So I got in, down here. Oh, sorry, no, I got in around 33.22, and then I got out at 32.98. I just wasn't really liking, how that was playing out there. So I did hop out of that. So I'm moving on to the next trade. And so I was also looking at Tesla. Tesla seems that it's holding on to that 9 EMA. And so I do still want to see some volume here, but it does look like it's trying to really ascend to the upside. It's just making higher lows here on the 5-minute. If we look on the 15-minute here, it is, the candles are not closing below each other. It's just ascending upwards and upwards. So that is looking pretty decent as well. And then the QQQs, it's still trying to break through this high. It's pretty low volume as of right now, but it seems like it's still trying to trek there. I mean, I'm not convinced. I feel like it may just bounce off of this level, to be honest, and have a rejection here. So I would just be a little bit wary about that, because that is, what the range is as of right now. And then Nvidia, she's just dead. She's the dead one today, to be honest, because look at this range, 142.38 and then 141.57. It's just not really doing much from that level. I feel like the true play was the break of this local low, which was around 10.30, and then I feel like that's kind of where the bulk of kind of the volatility came, and then it's just kind of chopping around as of right now. So I don't really like that. And then also Nike is making an extra high of the day here, 77.35, and so that is looking good as well. I typically don't like to punch in at the highs for Nike, especially kind of after 12, but it seems like it's making a good move there. And then someone's saying him is moving him, so we cannot deny. We need to look at what him is doing. Hims? I think it's Hims, right? HIMS.
Yeah, I don't
So
I looked at it.
looking at HIMS here, it's moving, yeah. I mean, it's not like too crazy volatile, but what I do like about it is just it gets to VWAP and then it's holding that VWAP strong. It, only broke VWAP, a couple of pennies, around like 3 to 4 pennies, and then so it's just ascending back to the upside. And so I think that that is very distinct as well. I think that, I really want to see a hold of this 24.37. Why? Well, just because it was a kind of a point of rejection, and I want to see that rejection turning into support, and so that looks decent as well. I mean, even if it comes back to VWAP, I still think that it should hold strong there as well. But just if you're looking to get in as of right now, like at market price, I think that it really should hold that level around 24.30 or this 24.38 level. So that looks decent. What else do we got here? SPY. If SPY can crack 596, we probably gap fill to 599 next week. Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at that. This SPY. Yeah, I don't see that as a bad swing play, to be honest, at all. I think if we look on the higher time frame, let's look on the hourly here. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad play at all. I think that is just like a little bit of a pullback here, and then we are ascending to the upside. Do we get that volume today? I don't think necessarily, but as a swing play, that is definitely in play. So shout out to you for that. What else do we got here? MSTR looking at 40. At a top, looking at 44.8.
Okay.
MSTR. Yeah, this is still going strong. I mean, I was talking to Sharif about this, and shout out to you guys. You guys have more conviction than me, but what do you think about this, Sharif?
The snap?
MSTR.
MSTR, sorry, because I'm.
He's in snap. What are you doing? Show us what you're doing with that snap.
Yeah,
today.
I got in 29s. I'm layering the orders here. Like, look, this is not a big trade, but it did pull back and showed me that buyers were stepping in at the $0.25, so that's why I got in. But let's have a look at MSTR. So let's look on over. Like, I'm not going to trade this one, and I'll have to trade a derivative if I do, because it's just too expensive and too hard to manage risk, and I don't know what the spread is. Quite frankly, let me have a look quick over here. Yeah, it's light. It's not a big deal. It's about 85 pennies right now. Not a big deal. And I mean that in a joking way, guys. Look, it's very respectful of the 10 moving average, and even when it does dip in, it doesn't even work its way down to the 20. So that gives you an idea. I would say that there's obviously a directional buy program on this one. It's a good look. Got shellacked the last couple of days. Obviously, with that 550. High that we did, look at that drop, 32% in intraday, man. It just yells volatility here. But in any event, looking at 450, possibly as a level of psychological resistance that we could encounter. Now, you don't really have much in the way of price action resistance there, except this one measly little 5-minute candle right at 115 yesterday did hold up at 450. So I don't really have much of a read on this other than to basically just take it off the 10 exponential on a dip, because that's what it's been holding out at. And then your stop goes below the 20 exponential because it hasn't breached a 20 exponential on the day. So it's up 12.25 right now. Good look for today. No question about it for MSTR as it looks to recover some of the losses or parse some of the losses. Michael Saylor was on Squawk Box this morning. He was making the case for why he felt Citron had it all wrong. In case you're wondering why this bad boy was selling off and what the bear case is against it, here's what Citron has to say, okay? One sec. Here we go. So they were big proponents of MicroStrategies when there weren't too many other products to get you into Bitcoin, right? You had to buy either, GBTC, or the coin itself. Now there's a plethora of other different products with these spot ETFs, even more for others possibly coming. So he's like, look, right now, I don't really need to use that, or the Citron report says we don't really need to use MicroStrategies anymore as kind of a gateway to Bitcoin. In addition to that, they also feel that the price action and the volume on MicroStrategies is kind of out of sync with where Bitcoin is trading. Here's the case in point. So MicroStrategies market cap right now is about 90 billion, but when this article was written, it was 107 billion. So given how many Bitcoins they're holding, about 331,200, that accounts to about $32 billion given the current price of Bitcoin. Well, that doesn't jive with their $107 billion market cap. So it's trading at 3 times the current asset holding of Bitcoin. So you're saying, well, that's completely out of whack. Well, not really, because the market was pricing in, obviously, appreciation to Bitcoin. So as we typically do always with companies' revenues, we forward look. You always hear a company's trading at 20 times revenue or 50 times revenue. Well, why is it? Because you're projecting that future profitability, that future growth in the current stock. And I think that that's what they were doing here. But in any event, Citron didn't like that. They threw out the hit piece, and we saw what happened there. Now we'll have to wait and see if it's able to work its way back. So that's the look there on MicroStrategy. So let's have a look now. Okay, so now we're long sound. So what I did was I tried to get long sound at an area that I liked over here. So it was this area of consolidation that we didn't really breach, or that we didn't really rocket through. So I said, look, get in the mid-range. You have a bit of a range here from around 825 to 815. I put it at 818s. Let's see if this trade ends up working out or not. Let's set up a couple of beak wetters for the top side over here in case we get really creative. So I'm going to set that up. The ultimate out, though, I'm going to have to take this out below 8. I won't let this one go against me anywhere below 8. So SOUN, we're taking a bit of a dip trade. Now, I kind of wanted to show you the daily chart on SOUN because we're awfully close into all-time highs. So here's the daily, not all-time highs, excuse me, local highs from March of 2024. So this was a beautiful move in early March. We got all the way up into that 1050. Look, we haven't been anywhere near that since March, where we're currently trading at now 8 1/3 with the 8 1/3 high. We've taken out that May high. We've taken out the July high. And we've taken out as well the early November high where we double top there at $8. So SOUN, multi-day runner, good look. Nvidia adjacent, obviously. So I don't want to say that it's tied with Nvidia's price action, but they seem to be usually moving together. So we'll see what this one does. We're already a few pennies out of the money as this one dips, I think, into 816. We're also involved in Snap, as I mentioned. So I'm long here at 1128, looking for the flat top break through 1132. I could certainly be persuaded to add into this one into about 20s, but I don't want to give it too much room because it's already at the highs. In case you're wondering why Snap is moving, they had a lawsuit dismiss that alleged child exploitation. So that's not a good look. So it's obviously better that they are no longer associated with that headline. So keep tabs on those two, but those are the two positions that I have right now, Satya.
Awesome. So I am looking at the QQQs. And so this is the move that I've been waiting for, the break of this high here around 506.40. And so it's looking like it's doing that as of right now. I do want to see a consolidation, at least, 9 minutes, so three-minute candles happening here. But if I don't see that, then, it's looking like it's trying to reject strong off of this level. And so it's currently doing that, to be honest. That's why I didn't really jump in there. And so, yikes, that looks nasty there. 506.14 right now, and we're going down from there. So that is really, really bad. And so that's why, I didn't really like this range trade, to be honest, on the QQQs. And so, I feel like we'll see what it does here, but I feel like giving it a little bit more time is how we should assess this and see whether or not we should risk off of this high or, wait for the break of that high. And so another thing that I was looking at is what was it? SMCI here. And so I got a little bit nervous, but we're going to Adara first. She has some news for us.
I read a little bit more about this Snap story. So to give you guys more context on that catalyst with SNAP, basically we have Snapchat filing a motion to dismiss a lawsuit that has been brought by the New Mexico Attorney General's office. So to be clear, this lawsuit has not yet been dismissed, but Snap filing to dismiss this lawsuit alleging that the company facilitates child exploitation. It's pretty interesting as well. A lot of their issue here is they said the lawsuit misinterprets the practices of the company, and they actually said the Attorney General's office basically baited them. So what they did was, according to this report by Verge, the Attorney General's office created a decoy account to basically try to suss out what's happening here on Snap Inc. So Snapchat said that was basically pretty inappropriate. Interesting look there. They also said that the findings of the investigation are inaccurate. So we'll see if this lawsuit does get dismissed. Their filing to dismiss has already been criticized by the New Mexico Attorney General's office, but that's just a little bit more context on this story, guys, for SNAP. Up 6% with a 7.6% short float.
Thank you very much, Adara. Always adding color. Good to know that kind of information. Looks like they were kind of setting them up there, huh?
Yeah,
well,
they were
that's the way
trying to
it
catch
is,
them
right?
in the act. But going back to this SMCI trade, I got in, I got out. I was just super worried about this, but I'm convicted in this because it bounced off of VWAP, which I really like, which gives me the confirmation that I like to see, and then it's going to the upside. So I did get in at 33.08. And so I did get like out there before, but I saw that bounce, I got back in, and I'm thinking that that is a good hold here. And so I'm gonna put my stop loss like right kind of where I entered. I'm gonna put my stop loss at 10s and then 09s or 10s and 08s. And so because if it does get back there, then I don't really want to see that action there. But I think that break even stop, I'm just gonna give it to that because I don't want to lose on that trade, and so we're going to give it to that, but I do think it can ascend to the upside, and that is looking decent. So shout out to SMCI. I did want to, be on brand and go with, my crypto plays, but I don't know, this SMCI, it's setting up for me, so I'm just going to stick to this because it is moving. Let's see what's here. SPY. Someone is saying that, looking at SPY. You know what's crazy? SPY also looks kind of like the QQQs. Like in terms of, like, look at this action. Like, doesn't it kind of look similar if you're looking at like these trades here? Like it had the range and then it's looking to break out. Same thing with the QQQs. So yeah, I think that these are pretty similar plays as of right now. I'm kind of leaning towards the SPY in this. It just looks a little bit more strong despite it kind of having the same kind of price action. But this is looking good. I do want to see the hold of this level. I want to see at least a break of 596.29, call it 596.30, and see a little bit of a consolidation. How about you, Sharif? All
right, we're taking some prints here on SOUN. So I added into the 20 exponential moving average on the 5. It's always the 5. So we just wet our beak there on some profitability, looking for that 830 break and take, knowing full well that the high of the day is 32s. So that's why I'm looking to front run for my next beak wetter that size, or sorry, the high of the day. Because sometimes, obviously, well, not sometimes, most of the time, we will encounter resistance at that HOD. So looking to de-risk a little bit here. Here we go, 27s now, SOUN. Very, very directional today. So let's see if this one can keep going. 18.4% in the clear. And let me remind you that our friends at SoundHound are heavily shorted. 24.85% or thereabouts, or 25% essentially or thereabouts, of the 326 million share float is being borrowed as shorts. So we could definitely get a little bit parabolic, really depending on where we encounter these shorts. Here we go, 29 is now showing up. So there's some size, about 1,000 lots or so, a little bit less than that, at 30s, and boom, we take out 30s. 32s now showing up. So let's set up some more beak wetters here. We're going to set up at 35, because what's life without whimsy? We'll see if we can continue to move up here. But true to form, you get into that high of the day. There's either profit taking or shorts reinstituting or adding to their position. It really depends. So that's why you take it out a little bit ahead of that high of the day for that exact reason. That doesn't mean that we don't continue up. So let's see now, 1,000, about more than that, about 1,200 lots here sitting at 32s. But I do believe we just took that out. So that's a newer order that just came in there fast and furious. 33s now showing up. So we took out that size there at 32s. Let's see if we can continue to ascend here into 33. Snapchat though, this ain't the one. Look, I'm gonna sit here at 20s. The 10 exponential moving average on the 5 is at 20s on Snap. So we got the 31s. I will put a DCA at 20s. I think actually my order or my stop is actually a little bit above that. So I'm gonna have to remove the stop, put an order out for a dip trade at 20s to account for the 10 exponential. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. Let's go into the side over here. Did I just wet my beak? Yes, I did wet my beak on SOUN. So this one continues to move up to the upside. Sorry. Thank you. I just have to put some more orders over here. Let's put it there to de-risk a little bit because we're still holding some size on this name. So that's a good look. Now let's take out the stop for Snap. Let's see number one where it is. So 18s. No, that's fine. The stop is just fine there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw an order. How many shares? Okay. I'm going to throw an order at 21s. So we're going to throw out that order at 21s for a possible dip trade. Let's see if we get that fill now on SOUN showing 37s. There's a hidden, an iceberg likely at 37, so we're chopping and churning here. None of the size is getting taken out. Let's see if we can get the print and ascend above 37s, almost 20% now on SOUN in the bang. There we go. We take out that seller up into 39s we go. We're still holding size on this one. So we got to get some more out over here. Let's set it up over here at 43s. Let's see if we can continue to move up here on SOUN. It's squeezing nicely. Lots of greenery right now. So we added at 10s, and I couldn't be happier with that add into the 20 exponential moving average. Let's see if this position is doing as good. Okay, so we didn't get the dip trade on Snap quite yet. We're still at that $0.25. Only 5.88%. Now, it's not a big boy headline that they have. Adair brought you the details after that. Looks like they just filed a motion rather than being granted the motion. A bit of a difference there, and bang! We'll take it out on SOUN again. This one's going, baby. SOUN taking out highs, looking at weaseling into that $0.25. Let's hang out, or sorry, that $0.50, excuse me. Let's hang out in front of that $0.50 to account for possible psychological resistance at said $0.50. So we'll throw out some orders there and see what we get. Stay, what are you looking at?
I did throw out an order for Gap. I was going to do a dip buy here at 24.50, but I think it may, dip a little bit further there. So I think I'm going to put it a little bit lower, around 24.35. I think that's more reasonable, just because I'm seeing this wick here around 24.66. And usually when I'm trying to get in on a green candle, I don't usually like to see that. I don't know if it's because this is kind of like more of a slow burner type of ticker where I'm not kind of used to this price action. But I think that, actually, you know what, I'm gonna do small size at that 24.50 level. So I think that is what I will do, just so I can get involved. And if it doesn't work out, then, we won't cry over it. It's just a small position. And so I'm looking for the dip buy there. And then someone saying Nvidia breaking out of the local consolidation. Let's see if this is true, because she's been dying. Okay, we are seeing some life here. I do want to see this cross of 142.50. I think that kind of gives us, more confirmation that this may continue. I like the 50 kind of cent levels. I find that lots of transactions happen at that level, whether, if there's a rejection or support at that level. So I think that, I like the base that we're forming. We had, a rejection 11.45, 12.06, 12.40, and then again at 1 o'clock. And so I do want to see, though, that extra volume coming in to give us that confirmation. So that looks really good. Someone's saying CMG is going up. Let's take a look at that. CMG, yeah, I feel like I kind of missed the move. I wonder, what did you get in on Chipotle here? Because I want to see what price you got in. I feel like if I'm trying to get in here, I want to see that dip buy of 62.10, just because it's near that local top here. And then it also was kind of a rejection place here at 12.40. So this was a support level. So it became rejection here at 11, and then it became support at 12.40. So I think that this is a significant pivotal level to see what we do from here, that 62.10 mark. So that looks really good. What else do we got here? QQQs, I was actually looking to possibly go short, but it seems like it's still kind of consolidating near those highs. And so I do want to see how this plays out. Keeping a watchful eye out on this one. I don't like this wick at 506.53, but I do want to see what it does, maybe possibly at 130 when that new 30-minute candle forms, and possibly see a rejection there, or if we do close strong above this level. And then someone saying BA breaking out hard. Let's see that BA.
They had a headline today,
oh wow,
too.
yeah, that looks really good. What was the headline?
They got orders. Let me pull it up over here. It came in earlier. There it is. Boeing secures $2.38 billion U.S. Air Force deal for advanced KC-46 tankers. I think these are the refueling tankers that the Pegasus tanker that they refueled the F-22s and the F-35s and the 18s and the 15s. Are they fuel? I don't know if they're yeah, they are refuelers right there. So they are the refueler, a multi-mission aerial tanker. It's not a bad look. I don't know how many, 2.38 billion, how many airplanes does that get you? They delivered 89 in 2019, but that's not saying how much they, well, I'll read this later, but that's the headline right there, guys. So that's, it's not, at least they got something positive for Boeing, because that'll be a break there of bad publicity, bad news for Boeing. So we'll see whether that continues to go. Did you want to analyze it? Or
Boeing?
Yeah.
No, I think I don't have too much to say on it.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, like, look, it's a bit of a tougher look for Boeing, man. Like, it's one of those ones where I'm dying to buy it, right? But it's, straight up, because,
It's been bearish for a while, right? So I feel like it is kind of like overextended to the downside in that way. I feel like the negative news kind of is over. It's not like hitting back to back like it was, a couple of months ago. And so I think that, that downward steam is letting off a little bit.
And to build on your point, you're bang on with that, but to build on your point, I mean, it's not exactly a monopoly, but it's an oligopoly, a duopoly, right? Like with Airbus in Europe being the only other manufacturer of wide-body aircraft. You got Boeing. You have also Embraer, and I was asking Andre about Embraer in Brazil. Big company, but they're not making like airplanes the size of Boeing and Airbus. So if you want to order those planes, you got to go through them. So people are not going to stop traveling. So
no,
be
that's
real,
never
right?
going to be a dying industry. I mean, COVID, took a hit, but I feel like it's always going to be a booming.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like I've been dying to buy it, but it's got to stop bleeding. Give me a trend, right? So here's what I always say. So like people always, they say whatever they want to say about technical analysis, and they're entitled to their opinion. But what I was going to say is you don't have to rely entirely on technicals, right? You have a fundamental outlook, or you look at the fundamentals, or you look at the bigger picture, and you make a thesis. You come up with an idea. And then to work into the position, you look at the technicals. So it's like, okay, I like Boeing. I like the idea that, they're a duopoly, that they've got that clout.
Right.
But they're not looking good right now. So why would I be in? Yeah, exactly. Right.
What would give you more confirmation, like, okay, this is kind of a change in trend, the sentiment isn't negative
Let's have a look at the chart. Let's see what the chart tells us about that. That's a great question. Let's weasel on over to the chart. This is the daily. This is the 5-minute on Boeing, and more beautiful it could not be. I mean, it holds up at the VWAP, support and resistance flip, the whole 9 yards. You're getting it there. It's beautiful. Now let's look at what's not so beautiful. This is hot fire, hot garbage, more like it. So here's what I did, Satya. So you asked me a great question. Where would you get in? Well, there was a mother of all double bottoms back in 22. Now we know the market bled bad in 2022. So let's not throw that under Boeing. But somebody was interested in Boeing a lot from this, let's say 120. 120 was a level certainly of importance here. Now, the wicks do breach at, mind you. They do go into the 15s and 14s, but for the most part, when you do zoom in, let's do that. Let's work our way on over to that double bottom. In what year is this, bro? Okay. Oh, my goodness. Where are we here? Oh, there we go. Where's the double bottom? Show yourself, double bottom. There we go. Where are the prints? Yeah, the prints are around, most of the closing prints are at around 120. So what I did was I put it at 124. Now, if this thing works into that 130, 120, I'm going to be buying.
Okay.
I'm going to be buying down there with ultimately, obviously, a stop. I will have to play a stop in case the company keeps doing as good as they're doing right now.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah,
and
that makes
so
sense.
it'll be like probably a stop below 110. But yeah, I'm a buyer down there. I've already thrown out an alert for that level. So Boeing, low 100s in that 120 area, I'm buying. All right, SOUN, I wet my beak there again, at 27s. Only reason I did that is because it was a big retracement down, so I was worried that we'd break the consolidation area low, so I took out some more there to de-risk, but it looks like it might be holding that 8 1/3, so we'll keep tabs on that. The other trade here, the one that's doing nothing, is Snapchat. So it's very consolidative at the moment. It's not giving up the ghost on the range, nor is it breaking up. So we have a bit of also of a compression pattern, which may not be a bad idea, given that this is obviously the pole of the bull pennant. We have higher lows, but we also have lower highs. So it looks like it is compressing, possibly for a top break at 1132. I haven't taken anything out here, but I'm going to leave my dollar cost average there to defend the area low. But now that I look at it, I think that I'm being a little frugal by throwing it out at 21s there, because the area low seems to be about 25. And that's not me guessing. That's a price action holding up every single time at that $0.25 when it does move down. So Snapchat up 6% on a decent headline, but definitely tight or locked within a range now, and has been since this candle over here at 1256. It's 130 now. So yeah, it's been a hot minute since this has been consolidating. Speaking of time, we have about half an hour left on the show. So let's have a look how we're doing here in the voting. So we've got 800 votes. Not bad. It'd be a lot better if it was 1,000, let me tell you that. And Joseph would be like, no, that's not enough. We need like 1,600 to rival what we got first time around. So you guys have voted 803 votes, guys. It's not bad, but I think you guys can do a lot better. Currently, the Monster Mara is winning here with the majority of the vote at 43%. The dead one, Apple, second in contention there with 29%. Soundhound, good there with a decent 20%. And then QMCO, no love for these small cap gappers in the chat. No love whatsoever. They don't do well when we throw them on in the polls. And I got the message, guys. I got the message. QMCO last with single digits again. So we'll keep tabs on that. But guys, get into the chat and vote. Only 825. I'm sure you guys can do a lot better than that. Let's at least get it to that 1,000 so we have a good sample size from which to extract the tickers. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and other things when we get back from Adair at the big desk with Money Talks.
We're going to talk about the DXY here, which is casually set up here to end its 8th straight week to the upside. This began here end of September with a base of 100.5. Now we are at around that 107.5 area with a high just above 108. So this is a great look here in just 8 weeks for the DXY. Of course, it did get a bit of a boost from the election, but this one was already in a nice push to the upside. Bit of a rage too, as you can see, we're just above that previous high. We go back to October 2023 around that 106 area, but we've seen this kind of trend for a while here of that base around 100 pushing up into high 100s, like 107, 108. So we'll see what happens here for the DXY, but it's worth noting this little trend we have going on in the week on the weekly chart. What's also worth noting is we actually have something pretty interesting forming here on the CME FedWatch tool. We're right now seeing about 52.5% of people here pricing in a 25 basis point cut at the next meeting, but also 47.5% pricing in no cuts. So this is pretty interesting. We saw that we had a lot of expectations for that 25 basis point cut at the last meeting for November, which we did end up getting. But this is pretty interesting. Now, initially, people were seeing cuts throughout the whole rest of the year, but now it seems like there's potentially a bit more skepticism that this next cut is going to come. We know way back in October, we had comments from Fed's Bostic suggesting that the Fed might not necessarily have to cut and that he would be, quote, comfortable holding out at either the November or December meeting with the cut. Now, we know 12 out of 12 FOMC members approved that cut at the most recent meeting. So let's see if there's already holdouts in December. For economic data today, we did get that slightly weaker than expected Michigan consumer sentiment print, but worth noting a higher than expected print for Michigan 5-year inflation expectations. So in the world of inflation, that could be worth noting that we got flat for the year over year, or for the 1 year inflation expectations, expectations of 2.6% with a print of 2.6%. Also next week, even though it's a shorter week, is going to be pretty huge for economic data because we have PCE and GDP coming out on Wednesday morning. So lots to keep an eye out for the US dollar. But it's worth noting here, actually, there's a little bit less Fed cut expectation than we might be expecting for that December meeting, guys.
So much for that, Adara. Always great information. So I was just looking at this Tesla chart, and this is looking pretty nasty, to be honest. Why? So a level that I was looking at here was the 351.47, and I thought that this was a possible bounce level, but I feel like if we break this level, but more specifically this 351.15, I'm looking to go short here just because I like the fact that it made this range, but the break of this range, I think I'm looking short here, risking that day's high around 355.63. Or if I don't take it on Tesla, I'll just move on to TSLL just so that, you know, I'm not incurring too much risk there, and then just getting a bigger share size on TSLL and then going for that short. So that is looking interesting. Someone also shouted GME in the chat, and they were asking if, you know, this is a possible short because it was breaking through VWAP. And so what I don't like is the fact that it broke through VWAP and then it snapped back up with the same kind of volume there. And so I don't really like that. If we were to see another candle close above 27.90, then I would be a little bit more convinced, but I still feel like it's still in this middle ground, and so I'm not necessarily convinced. It still feels like it's trying to hold above VWAP. And then someone is talking about Dell here. And so Dell, it seems like it stalled out a little bit. The volume kind of just, it came up and then it's just kind of consolidating here between 1 and around 136. And so I'm looking for a possible pullback here at this local high, which is at 143.94 or 143.89. And so I don't think that the uptrend is over, but I definitely do think that we see a little bit of a breather and then possibly continue the uptrend. But I think that this is a pivotal level that we need to hold above in order to see that truly get to the upside. And this is on the 1 minute. So if I do look on the 15 minute, I'm still kind of seeing the same thing. And I feel like I have that also confirmation that there may be a dip buy here by the 9 EMA, which is currently sitting at 143.77. And so we're looking at that. SPY, everyone's saying, come on, SPY, and SPY, it's just rejecting the tops, to be honest. I think that that's very distinct here, and so we should be wary about that. I do think that we do see possibly a bounce at VWAP, and then maybe from that bounce, we do see a higher level, but it's not looking too great here.
All right, we got bills to pay.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, eSignal is the platform that lets you trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to that elite trading experience that'll help you analyze, capitalize, and after all that, hopefully, or strategize, hopefully after all that, you'll capitalize. Foresee those profitable opportunities with the platform that you need. You get a lot of things. You get infinite data. You get instant trading. You get to know where the market is moving before others with that lightning fast data. It's also got great charts. Some would say charts that change the game, where you can customize and analyze the markets faster and in your way. And we all know a sound trading strategy requires good backtesting. That's what you get here. You get better backtesting, you get better scanning, you can predict the future by understanding the past, reliable real-time data up to the second market information from hundreds of global markets. It's literally everything you need all in one place. So don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now. If you're ready to elevate your trading, then go on over to the bottom right of the screen, scan that QR code, or go to the link in the description and click the link. All right, let's have a look at what we're doing here on Snap, because not such a bad look anymore. Aside from the fact that I'm disappointed that I didn't get my dollar cost average, and that has more to do with my frugality than with the setup of the trade. Why? Because I earmarked that 25, 24 area as the bottom end of the range, yet for whatever reason, I had my dip trade set up at 21s. That's on me. So we've wet our beak there on the bit of a breakout high of the day now, as I believe 40s, $11.40. I've set up my next profit taker for that continued move up, 11.42. What I'd be watching here, though, is we know for a hot minute there was a seller at 32s. So that's obviously a technical area of resistance. Do we now use 32s possibly as support? Well, this candle will say yes. Now let's see what this candle says and whether we continue to ascend a little bit higher here. I won't be adding at 32s. I don't have that much conviction in it as a level of support, but I'm gonna keep watching over here. I don't have the biggest position on this one, so we're gonna have to be a little bit selective where we get our outs. I think front running the possible psychological resistance at the $0.50 is the wisest thing to do here, because you know, it's not the biggest headline in the world. It doesn't really have an effect on their balance sheet. It's more of a reputational thing, obviously. You don't want to be associated with child exploitation, certainly. So they're obviously trying to clean their name in that regard. So we'll keep an eye out here on Snap, let's look at the other trade that we're involved in. Okay, right back into highs here, or close to highs, is Soundhound. We're printing 39s. The high of the day is 45. I don't want to take anything out here. I'd like to see a high a day break, but I will likely take it out. I have a couple of more outs on Sound. I will take one out probably at 48s or 49s to account again for that psychological resistance we could encounter at the $0.50. Let's go ahead and throw out that order. I'm going to say that 48s because what's life without whimsy? We'll see if we can get that print. Good look right now for both these trades on Sound and Snap. Back to Snap, zigging and zagging. Still using, in fact, 32 as support. For now, underline, for now. We'll see whether that holds on or not. Haven't looked at the mag in a hot minute. Let's flip back to the mag right now. Huh, what a shock. What a shock. Apple gave back 230. I'm flabbergasted. No, I'm not. Because that has been a technical area of resistance for a hot minute, whether or not it printed 230.72 or not. It really needs to get away from that 230, in my humble opinion, on a closing basis. A daily close, it's got to be well above like a 231, 232 print for us to start using 230 as support. It's not happening. The other side of that coin is, while we're not getting that break and take on a closing basis, we are getting umpteen amount of higher lows on the daily, so there is that good look to it. And you know, if you believe in technical analysis and that 230 top with higher lows, we're looking for an ascending wedge flat top break. When it comes, don't know. So that's a look right now on AAPL. What else? Wow, Nvidia. Is Nvidia alive? Someone poke it. What's going on here, Nvidia? This is so uncharacteristic. You're ranging, Nvidia? My God, Adara's clapping because she loves her ranges, and I respect that. Do something. There you go. Yeah, Nvidia is locked in a bit of a range here. You know, not really surprised about that. Let's look at the daily, though. The reason I say let's look at the daily is because sometimes we look for these areas of consolidation. I'm sorry, I've got my pivot points over here, so they really do distort the charts. Let's remove them for a hot second and look at the chart without the pivots. So yeah, what I'd want to see obviously is a nice little consolidation area without really giving up the ghost on the level. What level you're talking about? Well, hard to say. I mean, we could use the 50 at 135. We could use that $140 price level. I just want to see range where there's no discernible higher highs or lower lows, right? It's kind of locked in that range. That's that accumulation that Wyckoff talks about. Big money positions into the stock during that consolidation period. It might behoove you to do that as well if you like following what big money does. So yeah, we'll keep tabs on Nvidia. Obviously, there's nothing really bad to say about that report other than the fact that maybe this heating up thing, which some people were saying is complete you know what. The other side of that is, you know, do they get Blackwell out in time? They're saying they will. Is Blackwell working? Microsoft says it does. Microsoft's got 13,000 of them right now, given to them by Nvidia to use as samples or stringing them together for cloud purposes at AWS. My understanding is it's working just fine. You never really know until these things go out in the wild. But anyway, Nvidia, good look on the daily, very consolidative on in an intraday chart. Sadea.
So I was looking at that Tesla here.
You're muted. Yeah, you're good.
I was looking at that Tesla here, and look, I mean, I was waiting for that short here. Then we had this wick at 350, which I think is very interesting. I don't like it's rejecting off of this 9 EMA, so I'm kind of at odds. I'm like, like what are we really doing from here? I do want to see it break below this level again, 351.44, and if I do see a close of that, I think that I would be a little bit more confident in this short here. Just the fact that I'm just looking on the 5-minute and I'm seeing how it's reacting at that 9 EMA level. And then as it gets there, it just keeps getting down there. If it does cross the 9 EMA, then I think that, you know, maybe it's not the short that I thought it was because it is still holding above this level around 351.38, and it did make this wick. But I think that, you know, the fight between the 9 EMA and this 351.40 level is what I will be eyeing here. And then GME is kind of, I'm still kind of having the same, is it bullish, is it bearish, like what's happening from here, because it did bounce off of VWAP, but I think that it's still doing this 9 EMA rejection as well, and then it's coming below, it's trying to go below this VWAP level, and so I do want to see a break of 27.95, and then obviously a break of this 27.91, 27.90 to really give me more confirmation that this long may be over here, because it is holding above VWAP. It is still doing that, but I think that it really is trying to get down there. What else do we have here? Someone is saying Dell breaking down. Let's take a look at Dell. Dell, a little bit. I see like a little bit of a retracement, to be honest. I do want to see what it does at this 143.90. This is kind of a level that I drew before at that local high here. And so, yeah, I want to see, you know, the reaction at this level. If it does break there, then I do think that you know, it may turn into a short here, and then you could just risk off of these highs around 144.50. It's also kind of a psychological level in terms of like the 50-cent level, and so that is really interesting as well. Someone saying BA is rocking. Is that thing still blasting off like a rocket ship? Let's see here. See, if only the airplanes could do the same thing as their stock, right? I mean, come on now, like stay in the air. And so that is looking really good as well. And so we're going to Adara.
I just have MSTR up here. It's worth noting we just had a pretty big drop. This is on the 3-minute chart around 127 here with escalating volume to the downside. Then we come to bounce here around that 432. What's interesting too, though, is this 442, 443 area might be a level for MSTR. This was at a clear kind of area consolidation going back to about 1245. Then if you watch this on the level 2, it rejected pretty hard when we got to that level. So potentially 442 and watch here for MSTR. What's also worth noting here is the slightly higher lows we're making off that drop around 432. So just a quick little look here at MSTR. Let's see if we're able to break above that 442 with these slightly higher lows we're making, or if we reject. Once again, no catalyst that I can find for that drop to the downside, but you know, it could be potentially an inverse Cramer play, for lack of a better term. Jim Cramer had just said that he thinks that Bitcoin is looking really strong and MSTR is a good way to play it, and then we get that drop. So interesting look here for MSTR, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. Yeah, that's it's hot right now. Whether you're looking at it as a long or a short MSTR, it's in vogue. Keep your eye on it. But I want to bring your attention as well to another stock that's moving here, Ram, and one that we've seen many times this week. QUBT, big boy breakout. So it had been ranging south of yesterday's high at 5 1/3, and here it is. It is squeezing now. Up into 5 3/4, and it's kind of uninterrupted in its ascent, 20.8%. This is a quantum computing name, and for whatever reason, quantum computing's been hot lately, and I kind of don't understand why. I didn't really hear any headlines with respect to quantum computing or any breakthroughs in whatever this the other, I think it's a qubit or something like that, the thing that replaces the transistor. I forget. I watched a documentary on it. In any event, I didn't hear anything new about it, but they've been running lately, so whatever. I like this possibly at 550 on a dip. Look at the chop and churn between 540 to kind of 547. If it dips into 550, I'm not chasing it at these levels. It's not something that I do. If it wants to dip into that $0.50 hold up, prove to me that it's going to hold up there, I'll weasel into it. It's up 20.69, but just have a look at the daily chart on this. It has been, yeah, that's what it's done. On October 17th, 18th, we were 71 pennies. So let's just take it from there, okay? Let's just take it from there. We're up 700%.
A little measly 700.
Not that good. No. I've seen better. No, like seriously though, man, this is a breakout and it's not giving back the move. Like it's not one of those ones where it's a Christmas tree retracement where you get a V-shaped move up and a V-shaped move down. No, you're not getting that. You're getting continuation of higher highs. Look at the, okay, first of all, look at the pattern of the candles and then look at each successive candle independently. Higher highs, higher lows than its predecessor, supported by volume. This is 125 million shares on the day we're trading. Today we're at 50 right now, a little bit more. So QUBT, good look, 20% off the highs at 575. I could absolutely be persuaded to work into this one at the $0.50 level. In fact, I will throw it an alert on this one. I'm going to put it at 55s. I may not have to wait long. It's at 63s right now. So we might have to put our money where our mouth is right now. So here we go. Down into the $0.50 we go. Let's see what we get here, and we will not get upset. 555, it dipped into there. 58s right now. What's it going to do? Is it going to pop back up? Looks like there is buying coming in there with some aggressive buying. So this one could be squeezing to the top side. Let's see exactly. I have to make decisions on this. Okay, so if I get in here, I can give it to 55s because 55s obviously acted as support. So we'll give it to 53s, and then we'll ultimately give it like that. Let's set up the orders here for possible outs. Let's see if this one wants to take out the high of the day. Come on, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Seller at 70. We just moved it up into 70. A bit of a seller there. Let's set up a little bit higher as well. If this one really wants to get going, we want to be able to take out some profits with these resting orders because old man hands can't hang, or I can maybe, but you know, sometimes they move quickly. Bang! We take out that little beak wetter there. Let's see if we can get a 75. Come on, baby. Let's go. You know, we'll see if this one wants to continue up. I'm sitting at 75s. I'm sitting at 80s. I'm long 65s right now. So let's see if this one wants to keep moving up today.
Awesome. I just wanted to shout out to the people who subscribed. So shout out to Natoya Thompson. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. And then shout out to Anoop Singh. Thank you. Welcome to the community. And you know, hopefully you benefit a lot from, you know, some of our plays here. So I am looking at right now at Dell 144.25. I got in there. I did get wicked a little bit. I do want to see the hold of this 143.88, or else, you know, I think I might hop out of this trade here. But I was looking for the long here, and hopefully that does hold. I feel like a lot of the time, I don't like the fact that it was like in the money, it filled me, and then it's just banging down. So actually, I think I might even hop out of this because I didn't like how it reacted. I really wanted to see it ascend. That was the kind of the form that I was looking for, but I don't really like that, so I'm just gonna hop out. And then if it does reach that 143.30 again, then I'll hop back in just because I feel like, you know, I have more confirmation that it will hold above that level, but it just filled me and then went down, and I don't like that at all. So that is that. And then someone's saying Amazon's fading right now. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's not looking good, my girl. She is not looking good. I mean, if we're looking on the 1 minute, let's look on the 5. And so, yeah, we're breaking through this 197.30 level, and I think that that is bleeding down, not looking really good. What I like about this play, and kind of gives me more confirmation for this short, is we had this double top here, 198.28. Couldn't even, in the morning, we went up to that $200 mark, and I feel like that was the true pivotal level for us to really ascend higher. And so because we're below that level, and then we're also breaking below VWAP, I think that that is a great play. So I think that, you know, I feel like I missed it, so I'm not gonna chase it, to be honest, but I feel like if you got in a little bit higher, 197.50, 197.92, you could hold this comfortably, you know, and holding it to this high, putting your stop loss at this high, 198.31, or if you're already in the money, just kind of moving it down as it ascends to the downside. And so that looks really great. So shout out for you guys for jumping in this trade. This looks really great. That's a really great call. What else do we got here? Someone's saying job Y. That's interesting.
Joby.
Joby.
Yeah, I
Joby.
think they make eVTOLs.
Oh,
Like
okay.
those drones, but people ride in them. It's
What?
sick.
That's
I'll show you.
insanity.
Yeah,
Yes, he's gonna pull that up for us
yeah.
soon. But this one is looking like a decent play as well. What I like about this is, you know, it keeps bouncing off of VWAP and then it just rejects off of VWAP. So 705, also just an even dollar level that is kind of bouncing off of. Not exactly at it, not right at the $7 mark, but above it. I feel like that still holds strong as well. So it's bouncing off of that 704, 703 level, gets up there, rejects off the 726. We get down here around 710, still holding above that $7 level, which I think is really key here. And then we're blasting our way up. We're currently at $7.23, and then we are looking to take out this local high here, 726, and this looks great as well. So I think for a long play, this looks really decent as well. And what I like also too is if we look at yesterday's high here, 707, that was a bounce that we had at 1135, and I feel like, yeah, this looks really strong for the long. And I feel like there wasn't a lot of plays, but shout out to you guys for bringing it to our attention so that everyone could see, you know, things that are in motion, things that are in play. So shout out to you. How about you, Sharif?
Yeah, here it is. Let me know if we're gonna get dinged. I'm just gonna show a quick video of it. Ram. Here it is. 10 seconds. Thank you, Ram. Look at this. So this is a big one, right? They're not all this big, right? There's different sizes, different bunch of stuff. So that's what it is. I love this kind of stuff. Me and Neil go back and forth on this because he's like, yo, I'm not getting into that thing unless, it's secure.
There's no pilot on it, right?
No, it's a pilot. Well, there's both. There's the autonomous ones or remote controlled. I'll show it. Yeah, there's an XPeng one as well that made by XPev.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this kind of stuff, man. Like, it's just kind of my thing. But all right, we'll talk quickly about this one, guys. We're printing here on our friend Qubit. We've taken a couple of beak wetters, or 3 beak wetters. Now I'm waiting at 80s. Here we go, 79s. Now the tape's really moving aggressively. So there's more participation in this one after kind of consolidating a little bit. So higher highs, higher lows. The trend is still intact on QUBT, up 21.25. Beak wetting there. Took out the high of the day right there on SOUN, where we long on sound were 12s. We took out almost 50s. We took out 49s. Now I'm waiting at 55s. This one continues to do well as well. Snap. We took out there at 42s. Now I'm waiting at 47s. Higher highs, higher lows as we continue to ascend here on SNAP. Where am I long? I'm long at 29s on Snap. I'm really disappointed about that because I should have been adding at 24s and 25s. I didn't do that. My frugality always gets the best of me, and I sat there at 21s like an idiot waiting when it wasn't going to come down there because the range was at 24. So I don't know why I was thinking 21s. But any event, let's see if I get the print there. I'm waiting, I believe, at 48s. Okay, SOUN back into that $0.50, knocking the door. Here comes 49s now showing up on the ask. There's about, I would say, maybe 3,000 lots sitting at 50. Not the biggest size, obviously, but that's only what we can see. There's likely, maybe equal size, maybe even bigger of an iceberg order likely hanging out there on SOUN. Back here, bang, on QUBT, we take out 80s. So let's see how many outs I have left on this monster. Okay, we still got 4 outs. Let's hang out over here at 85s, and then I'm gonna hang out at 90s. We're gonna take them out incrementally. Let's see if 85s get printed. 85 on the ask, and bang, we take it out there. Let's hang out at 95s now. Last 4 minutes to vote, says Ram. Don't disappoint her by showing up less than 1,000. Oh, we already got more than 1,000. So we're going to drop the cash for you guys because you guys killed it today, man, with the voting. We always appreciate your input. It helps the channel. It helps us know exactly what you guys want to talk about. So to be more thankful to you guys, we cannot be. But yeah, right now, I'm happy with these trades. Looking to take out the top here on Qubit. We've been waiting at 90s, Ram, even though it's been showing me 87s for a hot minute. So we'll keep watching over here to see if we can take out said tops on Qubit. Back over here to SOU 50 again. However, we're still putting in higher lows. So the trend intact on SoundHound. Trend continues to be intact on Snapchat, up 7 1/3. But look, this one's not doing the kind of volume that the others are. And I don't think you're going to have the same kind of parabolic effect, despite the similarity in price. The reason is Snap is a $20 billion company, a little bit less than that, and it's got about 1 billion shares outstanding, so the float is large. As a result, it takes a lot of volume to move it. So just have that in mind with Snap if you're looking for it to be as volatile or as parabolic as some of the equally priced stocks. It probably will not be. So that's the look there. Nothing else for me to talk about other than to show you the XPeng flying car, because Ram will get very upset if I don't show you that. So I'll send it to you for a sec while I set up.
For sure. So right now I am looking at Bitcoin because Bitcoin is, it's moving. Of course it's moving. It's been moving. But what I'm looking at is the fact that it bounced off of this VWAP level here, 98,325. And what I really like is it made this base here around 96,506. And so we are ascending our way up. And so, oh no, what happened to the chart? Let's go back here. We'll just use Bitstamp. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, okay. Back on board. Okay, so yeah, I do want to see the break of this 99,283 for a little bit more confirmation that we do hit that 100,000, because that is really what we are all waiting for. And so has it hit it? I don't think so yet, but let's double check. Yeah, no, and we are still on our way up there. And I do want to see that break of that 99,283. I don't want to see a rejection there. I don't want to see it kind of get up to 99,200 and then break down, I really want to see a clear break of that level so that we can go and hit that 100,000 that we are all waiting for. I definitely think that there is going to be huge selling at that level because it's just a very high anticipated level, right? And so I definitely think people will be taking profits, but we all are waiting for it. Does it happen today? Does it happen this weekend? Maybe. I think it, like, I'm giving it till Sunday, to be honest. I find that lots of volume happens usually on Sunday. And so I think that when that next candle forms on the weekly chart, which is Sunday night at 8 p.m., then that is, you know, we might see that break there. But could it happen before? I don't think that that's out of the question at all. And so, do you have?
Yeah, I gotta show you this. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like in its compact form.
Okay.
And then I'll show you after how it looks like when it's flying. Okay. So here it is, Ram. Can we show? Okay. Take your time, Ram. Nope. It's not like we're doing a show or anything. No worries. Dun-dun. Hey. Okay. I see what you wanted to do there, Ram. Fill me in. All right. So all the blades and the propellers come out of the car. Okay, so they're all compact, and so technically you can drive this thing street legal, and then it like jettisons the propellers out so that you can obviously take off. So it's kind of like a drone in the sense that it's using obviously electric.
Right.
And then here's what it looks like when it's flying. So let's work our way on over to the actual flying part. Yeah, it's over here. There it is. Look at this. I mean, it's not eloquent, certainly not eloquent. It's clunky, but you gotta understand, this is like version 1.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's
Like,
insane.
Anyway, I kind of love this stuff.
Do they just are they allowing like regular people to just like if you have a driver's license then you could drive that?
It's a nascent technology. Nobody knows.
Okay,
right? Because we
fair.
don't have any right now, right?
When when are they projecting for it to come out? Do you know?
Good question. I actually don't know.
No?
Yeah. Probably a lot of regulatory stuff, hurdles that they probably got to get through. Ope says they're going to use them as cop cars by next year. But I want to tell you, we're done our trade on Qubit. I'm really proud of this trade over here. Take the bull flag continuation long, get in at 65s. I just took it out there at 95s. Done with this trade. Oh, actually, I'm not. That's incorrect. It flipped over to the big boys. You know why? Because it's 2:01. I'm sitting there thinking that I'm in one position. I'm like, what's going on? All right, guys. It is now 2 o'clock. It is time for the big kahuna stick. Over, I'm going to weasel my way onto the green screen, but we will see you back. Same bat time, same bat channel. Hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Take it over, boys.
Welcome to the afternoon show on a Friday, and I'm just going to clear the air.